Welcome back to Kanode Knows. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Kanode Knows. I just had a little bit of a respite from doing this podcast as I sat on this couch for, I think, 5 weeks, 12 hours a day, editing Mediocre at Best 2, and then having the premiere, which was, a couple weeks ago at this point, but I'm still just basking. Feels good. I hope that you've gotten a chance to watch it. It's online for free on my YouTube channel. And maybe get yourself a shirt at shopmediocre.com. It's Trip. And enough about me. Today I'm blessing your ears with a conversation with Montana Ricky. Very industry figure. He's a very controversial figure. I don't know if you remember, but he was canceled 2 years ago, so here I am platforming him. He's a dangerous man with those words and his passion for BMX. He's a very dangerous man. You should fucking put your earmuffs on before listening to this episode. If I remember correctly, we talk a good deal about the state of BMX, and his perspective is great because he has a different kind of path that he's taken in BMX, and he's old as hell. He's 42, I think. And he's seen some stuff. He's gone from being the young, hungry kid to the older, still doing it with a broken back, older guy. And the man can talk. So he goes off on tangents, but he tends to bring it back. And I had a good time talking to him. It was actually, it was a little bit like, wait, am I allowed to do this? He's canceled. And I was like, I don't give a heck, dude. He didn't do anything too gnarly. He talked some shit. And I was actually hoping that he would talk a little bit more shit on this episode, but you let me know. Is there anything controversial in here? I really don't think so, but it should give you a nice perspective from the inside of the BMX world. So all that being said, like this video, share the show with a friend, fucking leave a review, all that stuff. Let's grow the show. We're back into regularly scheduled programming. And yeah, I'll see you at the end of this one. Here's Montana Ricky.
Why is your name Kanode Knows? You don't know shit.
Kanode Knows. I could remember in 2004, me and my buddy were like, hey, let's go to Portland, Oregon. Portland, Oregon is going to be the biggest thing in BMX. We have to go to Portland. So I was like, okay, well, I know Bruce Crispin and I know Chester Blacksmith. So I'll just call him and say if I can come and stay with him. And he's like, yeah, just come up. And then I was like, all right. So we went to Seattle and we went and picked up Fat Mike, which is Mike Hoder, obviously, right? And we were like, hey,
not
Hoder.
Obviously. Not everybody knows his nickname used to be Fat Mike.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, I met Hoder when he was like 13 or 14, back when he was trying to get a sponsor. I mean, he was the first kid I ever seen do a fucking pegless handrail, which blew my mind.
Yeah.
Because I'm jumping around here, but I'll go back to where I was. But I remember being at the Green Lake Trails, and we were riding, and I remember like 360 in the last jump or something, and all of a sudden some kid's like, hey, you guys want to go ride street? And I'm like, where the fuck that come from? There's these little benches
Where the fuck did
at
that
the end
come
of the
from?
trails, and there's like this kind of chubby kid sitting there, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like you. You're a fucking giant,
Yeah.
but you don't look like a giant. On film, you look like a midget to me, right? Then I see you, and your head's as big as
Dude,
fucking,
Hoder
it's
in
huge.
person is like,
Yeah,
whoa.
Hoder's way bigger.
Yeah.
So Hoder was just sitting, then he stands, and I was like, he's probably 13, 14 at this time. And he stood up, and he was like 6 foot or maybe.
you guys want to go ride street?
Yeah, it was, right? And then we were like, what do you want to go do? And he's like, let's go do some rails. And I'm like, I look at him, and I look at his bike, and I go, you have no pegs. He's like, doesn't matter. And anyway,
cool.
it was a great time. So going back, it's like 2004. We go pick up Hoder, me and my friend Josh Parker, and he's like, well, we got to stop at my friend's house. And I was like, who's your friend? He's like, Dean Dickerson. And I was like, if everyone knows who Dean is, Dean's fucking crazy.
Triple OG.
Okay, so Dean, he's like, we're just going to stop by Dean's house real quick. I got to go pick up something. I don't know what the fuck we had to go pick up. So we go to Dean's house, and we pull up, and like Dean tells us we have to go to this back door, and we go to this. We like walk by this house. It's like some creepy house. We get into the backyard, and it's like this steps that go down into the basement, in a backyard, and it's this like crazy, creepy black door. And then Mike's like, yeah, we just got to enter this, dude, and then we're going to walk down a hallway, and then to the left is like his bedroom, right? And exactly what you think it's going to be, yes, it's exactly that. It was like going into a torture chamber. So we go down these stairs, we open this back door, it's pitch dark, but we can see in the far, like going down the hallway, you could see like a flash of lights and stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, Hodor, what the fuck are we doing? He's like, oh, don't worry about it, man. Dean's just on a different level. And I'm like, all right. So like we start walking down this hallway in pitch dark, right? We hear kind of some rumbling in the back and stuff. And like we get closer to the back and we just hear, and it's just like, what the fuck? And I like look at my friend looks at me, and I'm like, right? And I was like, who are we going to see? He's like, don't worry about it, Dean's the man. So like we show up, we take a left, and exactly what you think you're going to see. So for all the younger kids, if you ever watched I think it's the first commercial for Shadow Conspiracy, when everybody's like sitting in a dark basement or whatever, and they're tied to a tree, or not tied to a chair.
Yeah.
Right? Remember it was in the dark and everything? All right.
That's where it was from?
So, but basically, this is what it feels like. So we come in there, I take a look. It's Dean. This room has nothing but a big TV screen with a VHS player. Obviously, we all know what's on the TV. Dean is sitting in a chair with a notebook, watching a porn, which I think he's just like watching a porn, right?
Yeah.
But he's like, we're like, what the fuck? And then Dean's like, oh, hold on, guys. And then finishes what he's doing, turns the lights on, and we're like, what the fuck are you doing? He's like, if you're going to be a great filmer, you got to look for the best angles. So, like, the first time I met him, he was literally big screen.
Taking notes, watching porn.
Watching porn,
Incredible.
but watching it for video.
What a terrible source of great videography.
Right?
That's hilarious.
No clue, right? So this is the first time I meet him. So we go to meet him, me, Mike, Hodor, and Josh Parker. I don't know where he was, what part of Oregon he was in. But anyway, maybe he was in Battleground, Washington, which is like a little bit on the state border of Portland. Anyway, we leave his house. Forgot why we were there anyway. I'm already blown away. First time I meet Dean Dickerson.
Yeah.
And he's in there watching Dickerson.
Yeah.
And we end up going to... we made another stop. This is another one. Do you remember Caleb Rucker?
Yeah.
So we had to
Bone
stop
Death, right?
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
we had to stop over at Caleb Rucker's house, and like he's like, I got to stop at another place. We're like, all right, whatever. We go to Caleb Rucker's house, and when Caleb answered the door, he was wearing makeup, fingernails polished, and a Freddy Krueger fucking shirt, and had this wild fucking hair. And I was just like, what are we doing? We go to this porn shack, and now we're over here at this horror film. Anyway, I'm only mentioning that because it's so funny when you first meet people and the impression that you get. And then, fucking fast forward 21 years later, it's like such a fond memory.
Yeah.
It's like all I can remember. But so we go to Eddie Cleveland's house. This whole thing's about Eddie. I'm backtracking, going back, right? But we finally get to Chester Blacksmith's house and Eddie's house, and we're staying with them there. And I remember just sitting around, and Eddie's talking about like, "Hey, I got a page in BMX Plus, and I get $75." And I was like, $75 to do what? And he's like, dude, all I did was a tabletop or something. He said, right? I was like, you got paid $75 for that, right?
Yeah.
And I remember sitting around and being like in awe, the idea that I could do what I love and get a paycheck from it.
Yep.
And then if we fast forward and 2 years later, in 2006, Eddie Cleveland's the biggest thing in BMX. Everyone dressed like him. I guess you could say Mike Aiken and Eddie Cleveland were the reason everyone wore girl pants.
Yeah.
And if you lie to yourself and say you didn't wear girl pants,
Yeah,
you
we all did.
wear girl pants.
Yeah.
We all did.
Yeah.
Right?
I still remember trying them on in the fucking store. I don't think they were girl pants, but it was just way tighter than
Hot
I've ever
Topic.
worn. And yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Dude.
My boy Cleon going, they look good. I'm like, yeah. And then when I look at footage, I'm like, they did look good. Like, it looks good to ride
And then
in
the
tighter
tees.
pants.
Do you remember the tees we had? The American Apparel.
Yeah,
Dude, nice and tight and
Yep.
super long. Dude, these kids are missing out.
Yeah, I
Crop
know.
top crap. Yeah. Anyway, so fast forward 2 years later, and I remember I show up and we're in California now because Eddie's big time. And Eddie's like, hey, I got a lot of things I got to do. And I'm like, what do you got to do? He's like, well, we got to go to Tip Plus. I got to go pick up these new prototype shoes I got. And I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I got the new Lotex, and then they're making me pants, bro. And then after that, I got to get some parts. And then we're going to go to Quentin. You remember Quentin hats and stuff? He's like, I got to go talk to him. You know, I got to pick up another paycheck. And I'm like, and he's not bragging or doing nothing. This is just what he has to do, right?
Yeah.
So I remember going to Tip Plus, and John Warren's like, oh, hey, you're Montana. I heard all about you. How you doing, Ricky? And I'm like, oh, good. And Eddie's like, yeah, I'm just here to get my prototype shoes and pants. And then John's like, yeah, anything in the warehouse you want. Matter of fact, Ricky, you and your friend, anything you want in the warehouse, pick it all out, bro. You can have anything. And I said, anything? And he's like, yeah, anything. And I said, anything. And he goes, literally anything you want, you can have it. And I said, do you got any big black trash bags? And he's like, yeah, what for? I said, well, do you have industrial sized big ones? He's like, yeah. I was like, so you said I can have anything I want? And he's like, yeah. So I was like, all right, give me the trash bag. He gets me this big fucking trash bag.
You piece of shit. You filled up the trash.
Listen to this. Listen to this. So he's like, what do you want to do? I was like, dude, take me to the break room. And he's like, why do you want to go to the break room? You said I can have anything I want, right? And he's like, yeah. I was like, take me to the break room. So we go to the break room, and then in the break room, there's this big, huge wall with nothing but BMX DVDs and BMX videos. Every video, because Ride BMX or anything they do, they leave them there.
Yeah.
So I know that. Dude, I went up to them and I filled that trash bag with every VHS and every DVD and every magazine they had. I took over 300 VHSs and DVDs. These are all used ones. These ain't brand new.
Yeah.
These are all used. And I looked at John. I go, I could have this. He goes, I said you could have anything. And he goes, I was not expecting you to do this. I said, look, I'm from Montana. I have nothing to do. I watch a video 1,000 times. I watch a VHS until it wears out. So, dude, I fucking took the whole thing. And then Eddie's like, what are you doing, dude? I said, dude, this will never happen again in my life.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take what's important to me. And then John at the end goes, you could have had a brand new bike. I said, dude, I have a job. And I was like, people help me out. I just want to watch bike videos, get motivated, and watch my heroes ride.
That's pretty cool.
So we left there.
Do you have an industrial sized garbage bag? It's so crazy, bro. It's like, what the fuck's this kid gonna do?
And then Eddie's like, all right, grab your trash bag and let's go. And all my buddy took was a pair of grips.
Yeah,
like
I was gonna say, just take grips and pedals like the normal kid.
No, fuck no, bro. Like
4D level chest.
I'm from Montana. I'm going in and I'm getting something no one's ever thought of. And I guarantee you to this day, no one's ever done that.
Yeah, take me to the break room. I thought you were about to say like he took the microwave or some shit, dude.
Take a microwave.
Anything I want, huh?
Yeah,
it's a
anything
nice
I want.
fridge you got there,
Yeah, no
buddy.
shit. Just load up on that. So we leave there and we go to Quentin's warehouse. Do you ever go to Quentin?
I've never been to Quentin. No,
Okay, so
I don't think I've ever been to Tip. Anyway,
dude, I got to ride the ramp before they tore the ramp down. The one that was in the front, where what is it? Forward. What's the next video after Forward? See, I'm getting sold. Grounded, where Joe does that. Maybe it was Forward. Actually, it was Forward. I apologize. When Joe Rich does the wall ride, but he's like manualing up the wall and then just does a tire tap. Pauses. Anyway, got to ride that ramp for a second.
That's cool.
I was a god.
Yep.
I thought I was going to do a 270 to toothpick, but that's Dave Osato. So anyway, we left there. We go to Quentin. And when you walk in Quentin, it is fucking insane. You come in, you open this door, it's like a curtain, and all of a sudden, it's just Chinese people making fucking clothing and hats and garment for like hospitals and stuff. And it was just like, I'm like, what the fuck is this? And this Wang or Wong, I forgot the dude's name that runs it.
Yeah, Wang. I want to say Wang, but I don't know.
He was cool. He's like, what's up? Hey, what you guys, He's like, come to my office. And I'm like, Okay, so like we walk, and it's like the typical. You walk up wooden stairs, and you come, and it's like this over thing that looks at all the people, your slaves
Yeah.
or whatever, right? We
Yeah.
get inside there, and Eddie's like, "Yeah, man, I'm just here for whatever you said I had coming." He's like, "Yeah, I got these new prototype shirts and stuff. What do you think of these?" And Eddie was always the type of dude where I always say there's 3 types of BMXers. There's the regular pro, there's the gifted, there's the God. All the rest of us that want to be pros had to work our ass off and get there. I'm not saying I'm a pro, but I'm saying that like to get there, you had to work and put in the work to do it. The gifted, there is really no work. It's already there. You're gifted. The godly is Garrett Reynolds and Nathan Williams and Mike Escamilla, guys that just like they can just do it, right?
Yeah.
And so like Eddie was a cross between being like a God guy, but a
Gifted.
gifted.
Yeah.
But I'm very good at backtracking and coming around. You're gonna learn this, just like Donald Trump, which is probably a bad thing to say, but I do talk in that.
It's
Circles.
called what does he call it? He calls it the weave.
Yeah, the weave.
The weave.
Web,
Yeah.
the web or whatever, right? So Eddie grew up and moved to Great Falls, Montana when he was 12 or 13.
And that's how you know?
We got him off his 4 pegs, and he used to run 4 pegs and 4-piece bars. We're like, we don't do that shit. We run 2 pegs, no brakes, 2-piece bars. Huh. You know what I mean?
Damn,
And
you guys
then-
are responsible for the Eddie
And
style.
then
eh?
I don't know if responsible, but just the kid.
had an
The kid
influence.
used to break a bike all the time, so he had to steal one.
Yeah.
I do remember teaching him how to bar. I do remember the first time he tried a tail whip. He did get his feet on and slipped a pedal in the middle of a double. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is Eddie was just so naturally gifted. If you told him to do something, he could do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just knew that he was going to be something. I just didn't know he was going to be that.
Yeah.
So anyway, we're sitting there at Quentin, and Wang's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You guys want anything?" And I'm me being me, I already got a trash bag of those. I'm like, "Well, fuck, I didn't get any clothing." So I was like, "Yeah, man, I kind of know how business works. What do you have that you're not going to sell, or what is messed up? Do you have any things that you're going to throw out or that you just can't sell?" And he's like, "Oh, I got this whole like closet of shit." I was like, "So what's the deal on that?" He's like, "Nobody wants it. Jesse Whaley and everybody that was on it. Remember Simone?
Yeah.
Was going to be on it?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then
I remember
it
he
was
was
a
there, like,
conflict of
Park.
interest with Nike or somebody contract wise. I can't remember. So they had to drop him off of Quentin. But they had his hats and stuff that they were going to make for him in there. I was like, "Oh, dude, I was like, "What can I
Damn.
have?" And he's like, "Anything you want." I was like, "Anything?"
Show me the
And I was
break
about
room.
to say, "Give me a trash bag." But I took all these hats, shirts, because I just look at it like, all right, nobody wants this. I was looking for stuff
Yeah, it's
that
fine.
none of the pros want. And Eddie's like, when we came there, Eddie's like, "I really don't wear this kind of stuff." He's like, "I just wear the same pair of pants 7 days in a row.
Yeah.
And then whatever low tech gives me."
Yeah.
Right. And so I just remember loading up again. And my friend's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" And I was like, "Dude, I'm going in."
They said.
And every
anything I
time,
want, yeah.
every time, like any opportunity or chance I've ever had, and I think this is what people miss in life is you'll never get anything if you don't ask.
Yeah.
So take the chance.
Yeah.
And the worst thing that could happen is no.
Yep.
And then the worse than that is fuck off.
Yeah.
So if you can handle no and no fuck off, your life will be simple. So I've always
Sales.
asked, right? And people always ask me in life, like, "Ricky, how are you able to get a paycheck, or how are you able to get sponsored, or you're not as good as a bike rider as the rest of us. How are you getting this?" And I said, there's so many angles to biking that it's not just about how good you are.
Yeah.
It's about how nice you are as a person. I think the one thing that kids misunderstand is BMX is 40% talent and 60% personality. And if you got a good personality, you'll go fucking far.
Yeah.
Catfish is a prime example of
Yeah.
dude's had everything.
Best personality, dude.
Best personality, best
God,
person.
He's the best.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, he blocked me. We're no longer that, but it's my own fault. I'd like to take this time to apologize to someone right now. So Charlie Crumlish, if you're watching this, I apologize for starting a rumor, and that rumor was unnecessary, but I had to figure out who was talking shit about me, and the only way to do that in BMX is to start a rumor, and I told 2 people, and I made that lie up about you, so I apologize to you. I apologize to Catfish, because the topic that I did make up was a sensitive one, And I hope you guys can forgive me. And if you don't, love you guys. And I know most men don't take this type of approach, but I do. And I'm sincerely sorry that whatever grief I started with you guys, I apologize.
What was the rumor?
It's a pretty fucked up one, because the only way things work in this way is you got to go through a throat. And I feel like during the time when I was canceled, I needed to figure out who was on my side, and you find out who's on your side and who's not. And the people that are not on your side, that are in front of your face, will usually use things against you. And somebody was using their power against me, and I needed to figure out who it was so I could fix my life. And I made a terrible rumor about Charlie Crumlish, which then affects Catfish. And for that, I truly apologize. And I told Charlie any podcast that I got on, I was going to apologize to him, because I'm a man of my word. And I think there's a lot of misunderstanding in BMX. If you look at it, the internet is such a slosh of shit, because you could say one thing and people can perceive it as another, right? But it's so funny how a bike can tie us together. So me and Charlie could have this grief or whatever not. We could see one another in public, and maybe we look at one another and ignore one another, but eventually we're going to talk, and eventually we're going to do that, right?
Yeah.
And I think since I started this rumor with being on a cell phone or doing something, it's appropriate. I already called him and apologized and told him that I would do this, and I'm sincerely sorry. But the internet's a messy place.
Yeah, it sure is, man.
It is,
Fucking-
you know, and it's a shit stain of a place. It's like a toilet that's never been flushed.
Yeah, and the most like egregious shit is the stuff that gets pointed to the top. It's just a toxic wasteland of like vying for attention. It's pretty wild. And then kids learn like, oh, I could just say the most fucked up shit, and that'll get a bunch of likes and retweets, and then boom,
and
here
they
we
have
are.
no consequences. And then when they see the person in real life, you know, you could affect them. And I have that.
So is that fucked up? The rumor's that fucked up? You can't say it right now?
Yeah, because I think it's inappropriate.
We don't need to bring
especially,
it back.
I think publicly, it's not something that's public. What I said.
Oh, it's like private rumor?
Yeah,
So it hasn't
it's
been
something
like aired
that
out? Okay, well then don't say it.
Yeah,
guess
but
tell
I
me
mean,
after.
it's something where my feelings were hurt. So I thought the only way that I could get the attention that I needed to find out who the rat was, is I needed to do that. And when I found that, it fixed things, but it didn't fix what I destroyed.
Yeah.
Like I like Catfish. I look up to Catfish.
Just broke something to fix it.
You know, I did it, and then when Catfish asked me, I was like, look, I needed to do something to figure it out for myself. I need to fix myself first.
Yeah.
And then whatever the consequences are, here we are 3 years later after being canceled, and you know, I'm in a whole different situation. I'm you know, I just
How did what I mean? It's funny to be at this point now and be like, yeah, you got canceled, and I remember people being outraged about whatever Montana Ricky was saying, but it's just like it's almost like a distant memory. But you were in the thick of it. What was it like to get canceled, especially in BMX?
I think the one thing that I never thought that I would be known for, I'm like, okay, you create a legacy, or you create something where people talk and they're like, oh, hey, there's that guy. This is what he's known for. You know, like, oh, the guy that wore the horse head and then puked inside of it.
Yeah, and then your thing just outweighs
and
everything
I was
else.
like, okay, so my legacy is going to be my mouth and how I felt about something. And I thought I was speaking the truth in certain things, but I think context is really hard, because the way I speak, it has two sides. Like I said, I could say something and it has two meanings. So if somebody knows me and if we have a disagreement or something and they're watching a podcast, they're only watching the podcast because they don't like the person. So they're waiting for something where they feel like that's a part of them. So I feel like I have a 50-50 in this BMX thing. Everything's a BMX analogy. But you either really like me or you fucking hate me.
Yeah.
And
Which is honestly a good way to live. You can't go around trying to please everybody.
no, and I tried that.
Yeah.
And that's what I did, where I was like, all right, I'm going to stick up for this. I'm going to say this. But I'm all about what's now. If you're going to be in BMX, you need to know what's going on now. So I used a topic that wasn't frowned upon. And, you know, I had to live with those consequences. And the hardest part was I felt like the whole world caved in on me, because everybody that I knew was against me. But I only looked at it because it was happening to me. I didn't look at the people that I affected.
Yeah.
I didn't look at Mike Brennan and Sean Kern, who own that brand, and I made that brand look bad because of my decision.
Yeah.
I deserved everything that I got for getting fired for my disloyalty of disrespecting their brand. I have to remember I work for a brand, so therefore I am that brand.
Yeah, you're representing it when you
And
speak.
I just took it as like, okay, I'm so comfortable, and these guys allow me this type of peace of mind that I could do anything I wanted. And I just, I had my mom just died, my brother died, my other brother died, I had a nephew die, I had a niece die, all within a couple years. So I was not in the right frame, right? I was,
Wiling out, as they say.
well, I just was that. I was supposed to be on medication. I wasn't taking my meds. And if you watch that podcast, which we took down right away, I was twitching like really bad. And people were just curious what was going on. And I just was at an end point. And I just get frustrated where it's really hard to do certain things when you have from bike owners to bike kids asking you questions. And then like I'm the answer. I'm not the answer. It's just everyone knows that they call me. Everyone calls me. So they're like, all right, well, Ricky's going to tell me because this guy told him.
Right.
And a lot of people don't get along. They do, but they just don't talk.
Yeah.
And there's, how many bike companies do you think there really is?
10?
Yeah, it's about 16, right?
Yeah.
And now when you break these down, how many are actually rider owned?
I don't know. 4? 5?
There's more than that. There's about 11, 12. People like certain companies, and for me, certain companies have a backer. So when you have a backer, it's easier for that company to survive.
Yeah.
So when I work for a company that's on their own and they're making it their own, it's not right for me to say whatever the fuck I think I want because I'm some vigilante.
Right.
And I just made terrible mistakes, and that comes with growth. And obviously I was 38 or 39, sorry.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to be 43, and I got a second chance. I mean, I work for a fucking badass company called Afterhours, which is with Bob Pratt and Garrett, which is Fiend.
Yep.
And then now I just jumped in with Robbie. We picked up Colt, but me and Robbie talk every fucking day. Robbie and Bob Pratt are such good bike owners. I'm not taking away from Garrett. Garrett is a good bike owner, but when it's the business side, it's me and Bob doing all the talking for the bike shops and
right.
how the stuff goes. We talk about it as a collective when we're ordering stuff and doing things, but I'm saying that day-to-day things is me and Bob and me and Robbie.
And I want to get back to current what you're doing, but let's keep going on what happened to you, because you said I deserve everything that happened to me.
Oh, okay.
You got
bad.
fired?
I just got into a distraction. Yeah, I got fired. I lost all my sponsors. Now, at this time, I was I found the future. The future to make BMX better was to pick up bike life, which a normal person doesn't understand as wheelies, which is disrespectful to them. But it's bike life. And BMX has always needed something to bring in fresh eyes, fresh people, but fresh money.
Yeah.
And the one thing in BMX, like we talk about all the time, money is like a no-no.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I can't survive without money, but let's not. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
but I
need
hate money. It's the root of all evil.
Yeah, right. But you need money to survive. And I saw bike life as a way to bring new faces, new people, new money into it. And I was making a really good living because I had the job at Merit, which paid me really good. And then I had about 7 other paid sponsors.
Can I ask what really good is?
All together with all the money,
yeah,
like with everything, for a couple years I was making
multiple 6 figures.
Not multiple,
single
just
single
6
6
figures.
figures. Yeah, cool. Fuck yeah, that's great.
But I mean, like
in BMX, it's phenomenal.
I had a sponsor that was paying me where I was making the same amount as some of the big names with frame sponsors. Yeah. And I think it wasn't because they were paying me for my riding; they were paying me for what I actually do, which is a mouthpiece, which I do all the sales and everything, and I help out companies.
Yeah.
Where instead of just
heavily involved in the industry. Yeah.
I think the best way for any up and coming rider is to think of things as that wallet that's opening up if you think about it as your wallet, you won't waste the money and you'll go farther in this industry.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing.
The magic of OPM, dude. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, other people's money, baby.
Yeah. It's kind of crazy to think about where it's. Let's start with, how did we meet? When did you move here?
I moved here in 2010. I had a ex piece of shit girlfriend that was a flight attendant, and she moved here, and I was dealing poker. And
Like at a casino?
yeah, you guys have these outside poker rooms where you don't pay a rake, but I was helping run a poker room. I don't remember where it was.
Damn, that's fucking interesting.
Well, I've always done poker. I've had 2 poker rooms of my own. I dealt the World Series of Poker in 2006.
Damn.
I was going to do the Monte Carlo Millions. I got offered to do with World Poker Tour.
Huh.
I've dealt on TV.
What the fuck?
So I have outside hobbies. Other
That's
than BMX.
cool, dude.
But thank you. I moved here, and when I came here, I noticed Vegas is the same way to me too. I noticed that you guys clicked. You guys are very clicky. All you guys hung out, and I was like, I don't like that. So I was like, the only way for me to survive here in Phoenix was to grab the young kids. And that's when I got Dimitri, Brian, Chandler, and I was like, all right, you guys are just going to hang out with me. I'm the older dude. I'm like 27 at the time.
I remember this like it was yesterday. Yeah.
And I was like, we're just going to go ride street, and we're going to ride things that have never been ridden. And I always told those kids, I was like, when you're riding BMX, don't look in front of you or look down. Always look up, because all the spots are not touched up.
Yeah.
And I was like,
shit,
every
yeah.
roof gap. Like when I watched some of your mediocre videos, there's the last one, I was like, oh, I did that.
Yeah.
Like there was a couple roof things that I saw somebody do. I was like, I did that.
Hell yeah.
So I was like all stoked.
The
I was
one
like,
Dimitri Bard? Did you jump over that
no, I
fence?
didn't do that one. I did the one where you guys drop from the sign. I did that
Yeah.
with, I can't remember who I was with. I did that drop on the sign thing.
Hell yeah.
Anyway,
So 2010.
2010,
And then
I
you
moved here.
friends with Brain and Meech. Shout
And
out to
then,
them.
yeah, I was hanging out. I
And Chandler,
think you
shout out
showed up
Chandler.
one time with Drew Halselton. We didn't really talk or something, and Drew approached me, and Drew said something that made me really happy, but was weird at the same time, because if you've never seen me ride, I think you get an idea. I'm fucking weird. And Drew came up to me and goes, dude, I just saw you do something, and I never thought about it. Can I steal that trick?
Sick.
And then, which was funny, is Adam Batten came up and goes, hey, let me get it before he gets it. So it was like I had 2 people, like Adam Batten has invented a good amount of tricks.
Yeah.
You know, he invented the Behringer grind.
Adam Batten?
First person, yes.
No shit?
And Adam Batten's the first person to do a down whip.
Hell yeah.
Adam Batten's part in Beer, a video that he had from, I think it was Virginia, when he lived in Virginia. Anyway, hard video to get. I got a copy. But anyway, you were around there. And then the one time that we spoke, you called me and you were like, hey, there's some new bike company called Freed. We were thinking about maybe see if you're interested in something. I said, yeah, man. I said, just hit me up or whatever. I'm ready to ride. And I think Robbie just started Colt.
Yeah, 2010 to the end.
Yeah. So he just started Colt, and he just sent me a Colt. So it was like any time that I've had an offer from something,
Another
me
one
and
comes.
Robbie have been there, and I always have to do like I told you with the Sub Rosa thing,
Yeah.
where Ryan Shearer gives me that, and I'm a piece of shit, and Robbie's like, oh, it looks like you need a new fit. And I'm like, fuck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just always been there for me. And our relationship starting, I was a fucking dickhead to him. I was like, hey, fat ass. I kept yelling fat ass at him at the Metro Jam, the first one ever. And he's like, I'm going to catch you, you little fuck. And I was like, no, you're not, fat ass. And then he's just running around. But I mean, like, God bless his heart, for some reason. And he wasn't even fat. He was fucking huge, like big as fuck, in shape and everything. But I was just such an asshole.
Fat ass.
But he's always just been there for me. Yeah, I moved out. See, I'm a side. Everything ties
weaves,
into it.
weaves,
I'm
baby.
a very
Yeah.
weaver. But moved here. I came here. I saw how good this scene could be. But I like any other scene, when you move to it, there's the higher guard, like the people where they're like, all right, well, this guy's the hookup guy. This is who we all hang out with. And this is right when Shadow and Sabrosa's like, we're going to make this our home. Mm-hmm. So like I wasn't part of you guys' group. So it just made it depressing for me. I was like, this sucks. Because I was like, you guys are my age. We should be hanging out. I'm hungry as fuck. I don't care about being sponsored. I just want to ride. And then I was like, these younger kids, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to mold these guys into the way I ride. We're just going to do this. And the younger kids are just like, oh, this old dude just wants to go around and fucking ride. Yeah. And I was like, we're going to ride till like 6 a.m. We're going to go to every fucking spot I've seen on an Els Bells video. And then I'm just going to go venture. And so Dimitri and Brian were just perfect. Chandler was there every once in a while, but Chandler was...
I feel like he was early in the getting in trouble phase, and then Dimitri and Brain kind of
his
waited
dad
a
or
bit.
grandpa or whoever's taking care of him actually had a little bit of hold of him at that time.
Chandler?
Like somebody was holding him back a little bit. But Brian and Dimitri could do whatever I wanted.
Yeah.
And I worked poker, so I stayed up all night long. So
that's a fun era.
Yeah, it was a good time. Well, I mean, I did poker from 2000 and Moneymaker came 2004. Yeah, the poker boom was 2004.
How do you start dealing poker? What was your first in there?
Well, so I went to a house party with all these natives, and I just saw all these people like yelling around and screaming. I'm like, the fuck's going on here? And they're like, yo, they're playing poker. I was like, oh, how do you play that? And then we went over there, and they're like, well, you got to go across the street to the laundromat and then get $5 in quarters so you could play. And I was like, all right. So I just went and got $5 and watched, and they taught me how to play poker, and I took everybody's quarters. I walked out with a trash bag, baby. Anyway, and then I heard about these things called free rolls. They give away $200, and all you got to do is just win a poker tournament, and it's free. So I went to this poker room, and I saw that, and then I was like, I'm good at poker, but I'm not good enough to sustain myself. I'm losing. Who wins at a poker table? And I was like, the house, but the dealer. Yeah. The dealer doesn't have to pay for rent, the table, anything. All they do is deal.
Yeah.
And so there was a guy named Reggie who dealt the World Series. He was one of the greatest dealers. He'd done everything. And I was like, dude, what can you do to teach me to be a poker dealer? And he's like, give me $2,000. And I was like, he's like, you'll make that $2,000 back in 5 days. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. And so he taught me how to deal blindfolded, dealing the eggs.
Nice.
So I can do it without seeing.
Like some Karate Kid shit, dude. Like the dojo and fucking touch how to do it.
And I made that money back in 3 days.
Nice.
I was averaging like $200 a half an hour in tips.
Wild. How old were you when you started this?
21. No, hold on. 21.
Isn't
22.
it cool how many like careers one can have? You know, it's like fucking still young, baby.
When I was dealing and a person had come in and they'd be like, oh, I love your technique, or you have a good flop, or your turn is perfect. I like the way you snap your wrist, right? And then I'd be like, oh, do you deal before? They're like, yeah, but I've been retired for 10 years. Now it's been 10 years for me. Yeah. 15. And
you're out here complimenting dealers?
Yeah, and I do that when I do go play. But I also I was like, man, I remember being a kid and telling a person like, how could you give up this fucking money? Yeah. And I gave up the money because of the housing crash. So there was no money left. Huh. So I gave up because of that time. But
that's an interesting chapter of life, dude. That's cool.
Yeah, but I met you that day, but we didn't really talk because you didn't know me. And then we had our conversation when you called me to get on Freed bikes. And then fast forward a couple years later, I did get on Freed. And I did have a signature frame. And it was my...
What was it called?
I called it it was just a Montana Ricky signature colorway. But what I did was countertop paint. Yeah. I put it on the bike so it had a little rough to it. And I did mocha and dark chocolate.
Nice. A little textured chocolate in your lap.
And sold them out. They came with a shirt, with my face on it.
Nice.
And it sold out like in a couple weeks, like
That's
3 weeks. Yeah. But it's also cheating because I'm a sales rep. Yeah. So I could just call bike shops and people are like, oh, yeah. You know, it's funny how if you're loyal and, like I said before, nice to people, or if you make a mistake and you're willing to apologize, I'm winking and doing that because it's true though. But if you're willing to be a man and make up for your mistakes, things will get better. And even if
For
people
sure.
don't like you or don't do that, and
The most like dislikable thing is when you double down and everything's everybody else's fault, and even though you clearly fucked up, it's like you're still just like, nah, it's everybody else. It's like, brother, that's a non-starter.
or when you just keep shitting on people and taking, eventually it gets around and nobody wants to work with you.
Yeah.
And I can remember so many riders where, Jeff Westcott, I'm like, oh, who you ride for? Fuck that. Let me get you a paycheck. And I got him on Amity. And I got Tammy. And I can remember there's so many kids in the background that don't know where.
That's a fun tidbit. You got Tammy and Jeff on Amity?
Yeah.
That's huge.
And got them their paychecks.
Yeah. Good
And
man.
their paychecks were fucked. Their paychecks were bigger than a lot of other pros, and they don't know it.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of little kids that don't realize this. There's a few kids coming up right now that are going to get a paycheck that didn't even know they were going to get this or get sponsored. And I get to have that luxury of being the guy in the background that gets to say, like, or I'll choose kids. Kids won't even know it. They don't know me. And I'm watching them. And I'm like, hey, so-and-so TM, or hey, owner, I think this kid's going to be the next kid. And I think we need to do this. And I think this is the appropriate way of doing it. Just like with the YouTube situation.
Yeah.
Where I told Mike Brennan, I was like, we
Billy
have
and
to have
Anthony.
Billy Perry. Can I get Billy Perry? He's like, if he'll ride for us, we can get him.
Yeah.
And as soon as he got him, Austin Augie was living here, and Austin hit me up. He's like, hey, I need a wheel. I was like, come to the warehouse. Let's talk. Austin showed up. He was filming his 4th video ever, his vlog. He's like, Ricky, I want you to be in it, man. This is my new thing. This is going to blow up. And I told Mike, I was like, look, this new YouTube thing is going to be the biggest thing. And Mike's like, I already see it. We're going to take this and not take advantage of it. We're going to make it something where the kids can have a piece of it. And that's the thing that I loved about working with Mike Brennan and Sean Curran. They saw things years before anybody else. I mean, for God's sake, Mike Brennan sponsored Brady Baker when he was 8 years old. Mike knew he was going to be the biggest thing. That new Jake Ruckowitz, Mike had him when he was 8 years old. So the people that I worked with, like working with Mike and Sean, they took what I have and enhanced it. So I would say the loss that they have is they created a monster. So everything that they taught me, I've taken that, and then anything that I think's negative, I've erased that, and I know what to do and what not to do, and I know how to play the game. So if I was a lying piece of shit, this whole system would be fucked. Because I care about BMX so much, I want BMX to survive. So I do whatever I can when I hear kids are going to get kicked or doing something. I'm like, let's figure out a way to give them a paycheck. Or if I'm part of it, I'll take my paycheck out of it and give them the money. Nice. And that's what I was doing before I got shit canned with all the other sponsors. But this was with Bike Life.
Yeah.
I was helping with them.
It's badass. I want to ask, like you mentioned, I love BMX, and I'm curious, because I love it too. I don't think I love it as much as you. Why do you love BMX so much?
It started off as a fuck you to my dad. So I started riding when I was 11, and I would watch Els Bell's videos, and I was like, if you can't do the trick bunny hop, then you can't do the trick. So every trick I would try bunny hop Superman and bunny hop notified can-cans and pendulums and helicopters and stuff and
Hell yeah.
truck drivers and everything, right?
Try. Keyword try. Were you doing
I
bunny hop
landed one
helicopter?
truck driver.
Yeah,
I landed one truck driver.
I was going to say, bunny hop
2000.
Supermans, bro? That's sick.
Bunny hop Supermans, do those. Couldn't cannonball because the way my legs went. But my dad, it'd be like 3 a.m. My dad would be like, what the fuck are you doing outside? And I'm like, I got to be the best. And he's like, well, the best at what? I was like, I just want to ride my bike, and that's all I want to do. And he goes, grow the fuck up. You're never going to be anything. You'll never make money from this. And my dad's been dead, God bless his soul, for, I don't know, 21 years. And I just always had this like, fuck you, dude, I'm going to make it. And when I make it.
And that goes deep when you're that young, too. Just like.
Yeah. And I just, we would have family functions. Like, we'd have house parties, strippers at a house when we were younger, and girls naked and partying and drugs and coke and everything that's all these people when they're teenagers like. Everyone would be partying. I'd be out in the front of the place riding trees and just bunny hopping and 180ing and practicing. Like my favorite trick of all time has always been the foot jam bar spin. So I'd be like, how many variations of foot jam bar spin can I do like on the ground? But I house parties become people come outside and just watch me ride. And then it's just always been like, oh, that's Ricky. He just has a bike underneath him.
That's cool.
So
What a trip.
What I wanted was always that. And I always said, I want to be pro. I want to be sponsored. I want my own signature parts. I want a bike. And I've gotten all of it. I had my chance to have a bike, but I just decided like, hey, I can't do this because if I do this, I'm taking away from the kids. And if I'm going to get canceled for kids, I'm a hypocrite if I get this for myself. But I also had people like, hey, you deserve this. So you're allowed to have something too for yourself, right? Mm-hmm. I also think a mixed message that kids get all the time is like, hey, ride your bike for fun. Okay, ride your bike for fun. But if you're good enough or you get a chance, fucking ride to get sponsored.
Yeah, do some shit.
Every dude you go around, when you see another pro, show him the fuck up. Cut him off. Like, literally, when I was growing up, when I went and rode pros.
That's terrible advice. Don't do that.
No. I'm being serious. Like, when you're going somewhere and you're at a street jam and you see a pro, don't just sit around and watch him, dude. Join with him.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Ride with him, have fun.
Yeah.
Don't cut him off.
Nah, if he's about ready to go and he's taking too long, fuck that. Go. Take your run.
Don't go do the trick that he's trying.
Here's the difference between how old are you?
30, 34.
34.
Yeah.
Okay, so you're 34. I'm 42. When I grew up, there was no puss runs. There was no, if you're going to do it, I'm going to do it before you. So if you're going to say you're going to do something, I'm going to do it way before you. So if we're going to go do a backwards handrail or try them, someone's got to go first.
Yeah.
And usually the dude would just be like, the way I grew up, it was like, oh, you're working on bars today? All right, I'm going to do bars. And
yeah.
I'm going to do X-up lander or something out of it. So we were always about one-upping. I don't know where one-upping turned into this puss phase where it's like, oh, it's so bad to one-up this guy. He's trying that trick. Dude, when you're with your friends.
Well, if you want a relationship with that pro and you want to establish yourself as a peer to that guy, you don't want to fucking go try the thing that he's trying.
This is, let me phase it. When you're at a jam and you're going, don't sit around and do nothing. When I mean cut him off, I mean don't just let him go and go and go.
Yeah, get involved.
Put it on a show. Do your own.
Yeah.
But when you're with your friends and you're riding, there's nothing wrong with being hungry.
Oh,
See,
yeah.
We
yeah.
miss a lot of hungry. Now what we have is perfectness. And perfectness is kind of boring because I can tell you by the way you pedal and the way you hold your bars what tricks you're going to do and how you're going to do them. And I don't like being able to guess what you do.
Yeah.
So it's annoying.
Yeah.
So it's like we need imperfectness back in BMX. I need stop being like, oh, was that good enough? No, dude, fuck that. My pinky moved.
Yeah.
No, bro. Like
it's plenty good.
Like stop trying to look so perfect.
Yeah.
You know,
I agree.
It's like people edit their own video in real life, like their own writing in real life.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, my head was weird, bro. Let's just redo that.
Yeah.
It's like when I grew up, dude, you kind of slip a foot. Your foot didn't touch.
Yeah, exactly.
Sorry.
Count it.
But it's part of it. And you're not filming, so who gives a shit? So
Yeah.
when you're riding, so that's I guess then I turn into a hypocrite because there's two sides of me. There's the guy that loves BMX and I want everything for kids. But the hardest part is when you're older and you're trying to give them that like, hey, don't fucking do that. That's stupid. Or do this. But then I'm also kind of dogging on them. They got to realize, like, I need to enjoy BMX for myself, too. I can't do everything where I cater to you, but I can't cater to me. So, like, my Instagram is nothing but a dude that's 40 years old that can't ride a bike right now because I have a broken back.
Yeah.
I just had back surgery.
Yeah.
So, like, all I'm doing is missing BMX. Like, I'd like to jerk off. Can't even do that. That's how bad I'm at. Just joking. But, I kind of want to go a little bit back and say something that's really serious. Everything that you write on Instagram in the comments, every DM that you've given, especially all you kids that used to DM on Rodeo Peanut, and you guys always thought like, oh, well, fuck this guy or you shit talk or whatever not, someone sees that. and someone's editing that in the background, and someone knows what you're doing. So when somebody works in the industry and you do things that are disruptive or bad, or you shit talk, or you do something, but you want something, you have to remember there's always somebody that's in the inside that sees what you're doing.
Yeah.
And those mistakes come back to haunt you. So when they say, like, if I was an evil person and I see all these people doing things, I could just be like, oh, fuck him. I remember this. I remember that.
Yeah.
Right? I try to give people the benefit of the doubt. But if you can't control yourself and you're always that negative person in the comments, that goes against you a lot.
So hard, yeah.
And the hardest part is you'll never hear an owner talk, because an owner feels like a prisoner in its own body, because the owner cannot publicly say anything because they can't make a martyr or make something bad about themselves, and it's unfair for them. They can't just be like, I disagree with that, because if they disagree, this side's going to hate them or this side's going to hate them, and lose money. And at the end of the day, a bike company can't survive without money.
Right.
So I always feel the people that I feel the worst for right now are bike owners. It's not fair for Zach at Kink. It's not fair for Ronnie Bonner. It's not fair for Robbie Morales, for Garrett Reynolds and Bob Pratt and Rich Hirsch over at, well, it's not Rich Hirsch, it's Mandy and them that own Tip Plus. You know, there's all these guys behind closed doors, Law at Volume, that own a company, and you hear, the only bitching and complaining you hear is the riders. They're the ones that are vocal. But they're not the voice to that company fully. They're a part of the voice.
Who do you think is the most free of all the bike company owners?
Muller.
Muller's the most free?
Muller, 100%.
That's
because
cool.
Muller owns his own manufacturing.
Ah. That checks out.
Yeah.
That's
you
a
can do whatever.
certain level of like, fuck you type shit.
Yeah,
which is
but
cool.
I don't know if it's so much that. I think it's just when you're set in stone and you've been around for 35 years and you've accomplished what you've accomplished, I think words don't really matter. I think actions do more.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, a person we don't ever talk about is Rick Moliterno. Look at how fucking strong that dude is.
Yeah.
That dude's still doing it. That dude's riding better than most of pros right now.
Yeah.
Legitimately, I would sponsor Rick Moliterno
Hell yeah.
over
Let's
a lot
go.
of pros right now.
Yeah. You should hit him up. Hey, Rick, have you ever considered being a sponsored BMXer?
Dude, I told Dave Frymuth I'd sponsor him again. Just everyone I talked to. I just told
That's
Biz
great.
Jordan. I told Biz.
The old heads hit him with like, hey, you got a potential in this here industry. I'll tell
Yeah,
you
you do,
something. If you
like-
keep your act together, I'm going to give you a free bike and maybe take you on a trip.
If I was TM somewhere and Biz was part of it, I'd give Biz a paycheck. And I would give Biz a paycheck not based on his riding. I would give it based on how he makes, is the word constituents?
Constituents, yeah.
Yeah, he makes them feel so fucking good with what he does at night. So the thing that Biz likes to do is he watches props videos, gets super fucking motivated, bro, and then calls the people from those times and sends them videos of them, and he keeps BMX alive.
That's cool.
And he keeps owners alive.
Hell yeah.
And so I told him, I was like, dude, your personality and what you do for people is what deserves you a paycheck.
Yeah.
And I was like, you should be rewarded for that.
I just talked to him briefly, but that Boston shit talk is very fucking like, it's nice, dude.
Definitely.
Yeah, I love it.
It's, you know, and when you say how much do I love BMX, I think my BMX of love is layers. With collecting BMX, I think it's wrong if a BMX pro gives you something and you turn around and sell it. I think that's the biggest fucking no-no in BMX. And if you're a person that does that, I hate it. I literally don't. I think we don't have conversations. There's so many preservers in BMX, from Chad Powers to
Powers is that BMX museum, right? Is
Yeah.
that? Yeah, that's cool.
yeah, he's got a pretty good collection.
That's pretty
But we
cool.
also have Micah Micah's
Micah
got
Kranz,
a fucking
right?
huge one.
Yeah.
So does Ryan Howard. Ryan Howard doesn't want to talk about it. Sorry, Ryan.
Yeah.
So does Brandon. Brandon owns a bike shop, Elk's Bike Shop. I'm forgetting his last name right now, but he's got a fucking sexy collection. There's a lot of collectors out there, and for us, we're doing it to preserve BMX. We're not doing it to get it and then resell it.
Right.
This
see
isn't
it-
my job.
My little taste of it is in the DVD world. Like everybody's like, a lot of people are like, when's the DVD coming? I'm like, I'm putting it on YouTube and like tomorrow. And they're like, yeah, but I'll wait until the DVD. I'm like, what?
Yeah, because
Why?
we want that
But
physical.
there's something about tangible media that I came around to, and I was like, you're right. Like,
Yeah.
because this is fragile. The internet could go down tomorrow, and if that happens, then those dudes' houses are the only place that you can see BMX history, which is very important. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's like being the hard drive backup. I gotta pee already. It's been 1 hour, but we'll pause real quick.
This episode is brought to you by Dancecomp. Yo, BMX bandits! Tired of rocking that crusty tee from 98 and shorts that scream, I ate it hard? Dancecomp's got your back with gear so fresh it'll make your bike blush. Back in the day, like 1986, founder Dan Handfling kicked this off from his garage, shipping parts to shredders nationwide. Now, we're the online mail order kings. Hit dancecomp.com today for threads that slap harder than a tail whip. Dancecomp, keeping you fly since pegs were a new idea. That's cool. Were pegs a new idea in 1986? Whatever. Cool. Thanks, Dancecomp. Use promo code Kanode for 15% off. This episode is brought to you by Unity Ride Shop. Unity Ride Shop is off 43rd Avenue in Bethany Home here in Phoenix, Arizona. They also have an online store. And if you go to unityrideshop.com and use promo code Kanode, you're going to get 20% off your order. That's brand new. As of 20 minutes ago, I got my name as a promo code. Let's fucking go, boys. Go to Unity Ride Shop, either in person or online, and get yourself some stuff. All right, this episode is brought to you by Burn Slow. Hey, you. Yeah, the one with the scuffed kicks and that shirt older than your last crash. Burn Slow is here to save your wardrobe from the dirt jumps of despair. We're talking threads so fresh, they'll make your BMX crew jealous. Rugged tees, ironic hoodies, and pants that won't rip when you bail. Stop dressing like a ramp reject and hit burnslow.co now to snag some fresh as hell gear. Burn Slow, because your style shouldn't flatline midair. Huh?
Yeah, I told Biz. Biz is like, what do you do in BMX? Like, what do you love? I said, dude, I love stories. I love to ask you a question. And I was like, yo, right now, give me a Jay Miron story.
Yeah.
Like, I do this with everyone, right? And then I was like, he's like, what's this for? And I was like, when you give me a story, and then if I talk to Jay, or if I talk to Jason Enns, or if I talk to Mike Escamilla, and I start saying the story, and they're part of that story, they always do the same. Yo, get the fuck out of here. Were you at that house party?
Yeah.
I was like, no. Like Sean McKinney has told me so many fucked stories where I'm like, I can't repeat any of these, dude, but they're so crazy. And it's like, I wish I was born in the mid 70s. So I started riding BMX in the late 80s and then became a pro in the mid 90s. Because those are the best times. I want to be that, but I don't want to be that old.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I lived my whole life, like, right before mid-school, like, old school. The end of old school, fucking best time in BMX. All the tricks are just starting to get there.
Yeah.
The Dirt Brothers were just getting everybody to understand, like, hey, this is how you ride street. Volker was just fucking killing it. You know, Bully was just so great. And what I miss so much in BMX is I hate everything's isolated to just street.
Yeah.
Streets cool, but how embarrassing is it to watch a kid go to a skate park and he can't do an ice pick on a 6-foot quarter, but he can do a flare to foot jam whip, or he can do quadruple truck driver.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys skip the basics.
Yeah, it's kind of like the attribute meters in a video game. Like if you just start on street or you start on flare whips, then Zach gets up, and then I had the same thing. Like I only learned balance tricks and flat ground stuff, and then I go to a spot where a well-rounded person was there, and I never forget, like, you're the best, worst rider I've ever met. And I was like, yeah, that checks out, because I wouldn't do a fucking wall ride, but I could do a 360 to manual 180 on flat and backwards manuals and hang fives and shit. And it's just like, I get it with the kids, but I think that it's evolved to the point where street got so cool that everybody's like, only street, and it's kind of like, it's going to make a comeback to where it's like well-rounded. Like REA, for example, is just like, that's BMX again. It's got to be all three, like street, dirt, park. Like that. I was just talking to RJ yesterday. As far as like pure feeling of riding a bike just for the feeling of it, I can't imagine there being anything better than like going through a good set of trails. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, that weightless feeling has got to be the best pure BMX feeling that there is.
So you're skipping one aspect.
What's that?
And that's the one
Flatland?
aspect we don't, yes. And it's the one aspect where I want to bring back.
Flatland?
I told Robbie Morales, I was like, let's sponsor. I say let's because, and I have to use these words where I say I, me, lets, like words where it's like me making the decision. But when I work for a company or I'm part of a company,
Yeah.
I treat it like it's my own.
Yeah.
So I always have to tell them like, hey, look, I'm not doing this like I'm pretending like it's mine or whatever not. I was like, these are just ideas. But I was like, I'm telling you, my fucking ideas are insane. But I was like, we need to sponsor a Flatlander. We need to bring back where you have street riders, 1 Flatlander, 2 Flatlanders, a vert rider, a dirt park rider. We need that full team. I was like, this fucking, let's just pick clones of other riders is annoying.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not into that anymore. I want diversity. And I don't mean diversity by your fucking skin color. I mean diversity, because if I had it my way, it'd be all Native Americans. All you fucks would be kicked off. Just joking. But I told Robbie, I said, it would blow everyone's mind if we got a Flatlander.
That would be. Yeah, that would be a big
A
move.
Flatlander would fucking... And when you listen to Flatlanders talk, Flatlanders are the loneliest BMXers ever.
I bet. Yeah.
Everything's in your mind. You're all by yourself. I think one of the greatest quotes that I heard was from this, what was the video called? It's like 2 hours long. It's an East Coast video of all these riders with Joe Johnson and all these riders from the early 80s to the late 80s. And one of the Flatlander riders just said, he says, while everyone's out looking around at wall rides and grinds and handrails, he's like, I just look at parking garages and I know where every crack is on the ground. I know where every messed up piece of asphalt is in the parking lot. Mm-hmm. He's like, I live my life by the lines on the cement. And when I heard that, I was like, dude, that's so philosophical, because I was like, you guys look down all fucking day long.
Yeah.
Right? And like I was saying earlier, I tell BMXers, everything in front of you and below you has been road. You got to look up.
Yeah.
And who was I riding with? Oh, Bob Skirbo. Bob goes, shut the fuck up. I swear to God, if I was your TM and we were out and you're looking around, he's like, I see what you're doing. He's like, what are you going to do? Get on that fucking roof and you're going to grind that ledge and then drop into that bank, aren't you? I was like, how'd you know? He goes, I ain't going to fucking be here for that shit. I ain't doing that. I said, yeah, that's why all your videos are the fucking same, bro. Ooh, let me go get a van. I'm going to pick up all these riders nobody knows because it's convenient for me. I'm going to put them in here. I'm going to film them. And then without telling them, the video's just going to appear, and they're all going to be like, what the fuck, dude? I had a banger. No, this is it. I always tell Bob that, because Bob's philosophy, I told Bob, I was like, dude, Bob, your way of filming and constructing or making a symphony of riders was so good, because all he would do is just be like, we don't need pros from here. We're just going to grab the local kids that are good, hop them in a van, whoever wants to ride with me, whatever's convenient, we're just going to go. And I'm going to film it. You're not going to know the song. You're not going to know how it's edited. You're not going to know when the video is coming out. It comes out when I come out. That's why, like, if you watch some of that shit and you ask some of those guys, like, what'd you think of this? What'd you think of that? Oh, dude, I had this, I had that. Or you're like, how the fuck did Animal come out with, can I eat? Q series 1, 2, 3, 4. Like, they just had something drop all the time.
Yeah.
Because that dude just hopped him in the van, and whoever was ready to go was to go. And you notice there would be like a guy that was just like murdering it, then disappears. Another kid, murder it, disappear. It was such a good formula.
Yeah.
That like everybody, but I think on the negative end of it is BMX with videos has gotten to the point now where it's trick porn,
yeah,
and less BMX. Like, there's no story to it. There's no like investment. You just like, okay, get to the part. Okay, Max Miller had a 30-minute video part that fucking shut everything down. He's gonna win Nora Cup and all this, right?
Yeah.
But the downside that you hear is everyone's like, I can't be invested. I don't want to see this. I don't want to see that. Just get to the riding, right?
Yeah, but you grow out of that. I feel like as you get older, especially
the
me.
older guys have no problem. I'm talking about the
young
guys.
hip ones. Yeah.
So what we got to do is we got to realize, like, hey, Stu's coming from that era of when he had his own stuff, which was Scum, 1201, and all that.
Yep.
You were invested in those. There was no such thing like. For me, I feel like videos got a little bit egotistical or selfish when they became certain, just video parts. It used to just be a mesh of shit.
Yeah.
Just like you went and you could see Ride BMX, BMX Plus, and whoever else could have the same clip. Like Mike Griffin at the Love Park doing a manual around the fountain. It's in 5 different videos, the same clip from different angles.
Huh.
And nobody said anything. They fucking loved it.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with it. And all he does is a manual to kickflip because he's a kickflip god.
And why do you think that was, though?
BMX worked together more at that time.
Why is that?
Why was that?
Yeah.
Because we were such a small group. And at that time, money was so tight, the only way that we could survive was to bring it together. We also had cliques and houses where it wasn't like, okay, well, if I came to San Diego, only the San Diegos hung out, right? Everyone would go, all right, well, I'm going to go to the 7, I'm going to go to Sheep Hills, and then we'll go to I can't even remember the name of the house. There'd be a house, and they'd hang out with there. Then after that, Sean McKinney got his house, put ramps. Everyone hung out there. And like BMX companies would send their riders to hang out there.
Yeah.
It wasn't like specific groups hung out with a specific group.
Just that house.
Right. The problem that relies into that, and this is my personal opinion, is when you have money involved and it's everybody for themselves, they forget what the point of BMX is. So, for example, let's say that Animal did a house. Animal's the only one paying for that, so Animal's just going to have Animal there, right? Mm-hmm. But if it was back in the day, it would be like, all right, 1-800-COLLECT's going to pitch in, Props is going to come there, Huffy's going to come there, Fishbone's going to come. I don't know why I said Fishbone. That's funny. Of all companies, I chose Fishbone. Poverty. Ooh. Yeah. No, you're going to have all of these brands and companies come together, and it's going to be as one. So therefore, all the filmers together. So everyone's going to film everything together. They're going to put a contest out of it. There was more to
collaboration.
There's no selected few.
Yeah. I'm curious about how the play of the internet affected that shit too. Like with one clip going into 5 videos, it's almost like, one clip happens and then if somebody spoils it on Instagram, that's going to go on 5 different accounts and all this shit. And then the drama of like not being, then when did the rules start taking place? Like you can't have the same clip in multiple video parts
Rodeo
and all
peanut.
that shit,
I mean, when you talk about rules
Yeah.
would be rodeo peanut. But when you do it, it wasn't a rule. It was just a dissolve. It dissolved because what ended up happening is all of these owners were best friends. They were all riders. They were all pros. They made the rules of being like, all right, well, I rode for this company, and this company treated me this way, so we don't want to do that no more. We want to do it more how a rider should be treated, right? And so they created their own company, and then when they have their own company, it's their own money. And so when it's your own money, you have to think about yourself. And what that ends up doing is isolating yourself. So when you have an idea, you want that idea for yourself because you're paying for that idea. You don't want somebody else to be able to come in there. So that's the hard part that we have right now. So with me coming in, I try to tell these guys like, hey, look, all of you guys are fucking friends. You just don't pick up the phone and call. I call. I ask the questions. I figure it out. I'm the one greasing the wheel.
Yeah.
I was like, just because you do something a certain way and you tell somebody you're doing it that way, they don't know how to do it, so they're not going to steal it. So stop that mentality of thinking, oh, well, this guy's going to take that idea, or this guy's going to take that color, or this guy's going to make that size tire. I'm going to do that tire.
Yeah.
Who gives a fuck? Because as soon as you come out with it and it's hot,
everyone
do it
copies.
Anyway.
Yeah.
And also, I don't need to see you do it. I can call your agent and they can tell me what you're working on. Or I can go to Taiwan and go to your manufacturing and I can see what you're working on before it comes out.
Yeah.
Why do we make everything secretive? So coming back to all that, what ends up happening is once somebody owns something, you're protecting your own.
Right.
And then once you've been here long enough and you've established yourself, I feel like some people lose train of thought or lose the idea of like, okay, I have this now. Now it's a well-oiled machine. I don't want to disrupt what I have, but you need a disruption. You need to get that feeling back of being like, oh my God, I just sold $3,000 worth of parts. Holy fuck, that's $3,000. Is that $3,000 in profit? Fuck no.
Yeah.
It's not a lot of money. Like, bike owners sacrifice their effort, their time, their life, their family everything for a kid to have a good time on his bike. And the hardest part is nobody knows that. The only time that you hear anything is when a rider is angry and a rider wants to, bring up his involvement and what he knows. But that's not the story. That's just what he has. And the difference between that is even the TM sometimes doesn't even know that this rider makes this because it has to be that secretive. Because with that, it's deals. And I think handshakes almost don't work in BMX because we're all friends anyway. But when money's involved and you just do the handshake thing, eventually the party that doesn't invest anything money-wise is the complainer. And then the guy that's investing all the money can't say shit and has to sit back and be like, oh, well, that's not the truth. But I can't come out and say that.
Huh.
And that's the part we have in BMX.
Yeah.
And this little thing where I'm treading right now could be every single owner's feeling the same thing and be like, all right, cool, Ricky, you're talking about a subject that I could never talk about.
Yeah.
Right?
The one thing that stuck out to me when I bumped into you at Unity yesterday or the day before, you were talking about how most BMX companies are just lost leaders. And it's like, damn. How many, or like, explain what that means and what the state of like being a BMX company is today and how hard it is.
Well, I would say with lost leaders would be, let's just say that you have a big, huge corporation or you have something else that's backing you. They're already big and successful. So they're going to bring on other brands that are going to be a tax write-off or could be something to help them out. It doesn't mean it as a negative. It makes that brand bigger, BMX bigger, because that has something to fall back on.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, for that bigger entity, that's a lost leader for them.
Yeah.
Right? And
like if it completely fails, it's not the end of the world for them.
It's not
still
for them.
A tax
and so that
write-off,
person
literally.
can still keep afloat.
Yeah.
You don't have to put names to whatever you have, right? Like if Huffy's the biggest thing, Huffy's owned by Pacifico or whoever owns that.
Pacific Cycle. I remember.
Yeah, and those guys can just do whatever because they have other money that's coming in there. At the end of the day, all of these kids need to realize the money that's being put into BMX is coming from just a regular person that's like you that owns a local bike shop. And then that local bike shop buys that from a local dude like myself that's a sales rep. I get a commission of that sale. And then the owner who puts fuckloads of money into these companies and puts his life on the line is the person backing this. Not some big corporation, not some big, people think in the back a guy eating money with a cigar in his mouth and all that stuff.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist. So the lost leader that I'm talking about is bike companies that have a backer, and that backer just has infinite amount of money or enough money for them if they don't have a positive EV year, negative return of investment or whatever, then they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, when people get cut from a team or something happens, a rider can't always feel like, okay, I got cut from a team. Oh, I'm such a good rider. I did this and this and this. Yes, but there's more to that. Like, you got to realize your riding isn't fucking... At the end of the day, this will be the biggest thing where everyone will clip it. At the end of the day, you can have a company without a team. The team is there because that's part of what we love.
Yeah, I agree.
We want that.
Yeah.
We don't need it, but we want it.
Yep.
But at the end of the day...
You don't need a team.
I need everything. I need a filmer. I need a designer. I need a packer. One of the people that never get credit is the person that works in the warehouse packing and shipping and receiving orders.
For like $15 an hour, maybe.
If that.
Yeah.
And they love BMX just as much as I love BMX. And do they have a voice? No. Does anybody talk about them? No.
Yeah.
Sales reps. Sean McKinney was probably the biggest advocate, and everybody knew, like, oh, sales reps, it's Sean McKinney, right? Then I came in. I was like, fuck this. I'm going to make sales rep be the biggest fucking thing in BMX.
Hell yeah.
Because it is.
Yeah.
Because without the sales reps, you don't have sales. But if I don't have the owner buying this stuff, I don't have that. And if I don't have the rider, this is where I get in trouble too, is I always use this analogy. You're a moving billboard. Mm-hmm. Not a negative.
I've said
You're just
that
a
too.
moving billboard, right? But that moving billboard is much more. You're the fuel to my fire. You're the one out there doing the trick that I can't do because I have to work to sell the stuff. So the bike company could stay alive and we could have this rotating. We're a wheel. We're all in this together, right? We're all pieces of spoke. The hardest part that you have is the squeakiest wheel is always the rider. And the rider at the end of the day is the one that gets to express how he feels. Rarely until me, you hear a sales rep bitching and complaining. But I'm not so much bitching and complaining. I'm just saying exactly what I see and what I feel. Mm-hmm. Then the owner, and I keep coming back to this, but the owner is the main component of all of this, then the shop owner.
Yeah.
BMX will not be here without the shop owner
Yep.
and the owner of the bike company.
Yeah, you asked me in the bike shop, Bobby, who do you think the biggest customer is for us? And when you say us, it's just like the bike brands. I nailed it. It's the bike shops.
You did, bike shops.
But I think a lot of people take that for granted because it's such a small niche within a niche, dude. And like just hearing more from you knowing your industry stuff, it's like, yeah, that checks out. It's like, it's a small world. It's crazy to think that bike shops are your biggest customer, and there's not that many like BMX shops. For here, we're lucky to have Unity. That's cool.
12, maybe 12.
Yeah, in the state.
And you want to know, out of those 12, which genre of riders own the bike shops? This will blow your mind. Which genre of riders own?
I would guess like gravel bike riders, big bike.
No, BMX. Thinking BMX. You have like 5 categories to choose from.
Oh.
You have BMX racing, dirt, all that. Which type of rider do you think is a shop owner? And
I would say dirt or flatland.
It's flatland.
Is it?
There's 7 flatland ex-pro flatlanders that own bike shops.
That's cool.
Yeah, you got Gabe Weed, you got fucking Chad DeGroot, you got see, once I start doing that and then I put that on me, I'm like, now I'm gonna do it. But it's 7 out of the 12.
Yeah, which is very interesting. I'm curious about both for a BMX company, like we don't have to pick a specific one.
Ex-pros.
No, yeah, and then bike shop. What's like if I opened up a bike shop that was primarily focused on BMX? What do you think my like total revenue is, and what do you think my profit for a year is as a bike shop, a local bike shop?
What do you think your investment is? What you're going to have to buy into and what you're going to have to do?
Yeah, I mean, investment is interesting too, so that too. But like just revenue for a year for a local bike shop, what do you think that is?
Well, you'll
200, 300?
Surviving on BMX is going to be entirely impossible because your money comes from repairs. You're 100% your money comes from repairs.
Yeah.
So if we took away repairs, let's just say we're not talking about repairs. We're just talking about you're buying BMX and you're selling BMX. How much should you invest and what should you look at making? Now, I think the hardest part that people don't understand is if you're going to buy a location, you need to find a location where you're just paying rent once. So if you can live at your bike shop, you're going to save yourself a lot more because you're paying 2 of everything.
Yeah.
If you rent a house, you have to rent your bike shop. So let's just say me and you are going to start a shop and we're going to do something. What me and you will do is we're going to go to Fort Lee, New Jersey, which is on the other side of the George Washington Bridge. They don't have a mom and pop store bike shop. They have bikes that are $30,000 that they sell on the other side that are owned by the mob. So me and you would go up against the mob. I would think...
Sounds fun. Let's do it.
If you were smart, your investment would be, okay, let's say our rent for easy math is $1,000. So you would want to pay up your rent for a year so you don't worry about rent for a year. So that's $12,000 plus whatever if they make you do first and last month. Let's just say it's $15,000 just to make it that way, right? You do not want to pigeonhole yourself with companies, but you also want to take pride. So if you have a bike company that's doing things you don't agree with, you don't just let them screw you over or take advantage of you. You need to tell them exactly what's going on, and you need to punish them by telling them like, hey, look, I've invested this X amount of money and you're doing this to me by lowering the MSRP or selling backdoor or giving kids deals. I'm not going to do that. But technically, you should carry every brand because the last thing you want to do is have a customer come in and they want a brand and you don't carry that brand.
Yeah.
You need to be a whore. So we need $15,000 for that. It's $80 for trash a month. 8 times 12 is what, 80, $104. Or sorry, $1,004. Me and you could start a shop. We'll do no terms. I think terms is a bad thing to do because you're in the negative. You should own your product. I think me and you, with a $50,000 investment, 7,500 would go to rent, and then the rest would go to fixing up the shop and everything we want to do. And then, well, if we took 15,000, we'd have 2 years. You pay 15, I pay 15. We'd have 2 years of rent. And then we chose each brand. I don't like the idea of you come into a store and it has everything. I think that's an illusion, and it could sometimes be a waste of money because you're going to buy things that just... BMX, the problem with BMX, a little off topic but on topic, is a color's hot for 3 months and then a brand changes because a kid is an impulse buyer.
Yeah.
So they're indecisive. So, for example, right now, the new trend, I can tell you what the new trend is going to be for 2026 and where I see things going and what we need to do to make it, right? And in a switch of a heartbeat, we could have all that made and everything could be ready. I can't take that back.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden the kids are just like, fuck that color, we're going to this, or fuck that size, or this, right?
What
And
is
that's
the
where
2026 trend?
Huh?
What is, you said I could tell you the trend for 2026.
Back ends are going way longer. Sprockets are going taller. We're going to go back to 30. We could almost get to 32 tooth. 30 for sure.
Yeah.
30,
Huh, I like
28. I think chains. I think the half link chain. I think we could do better in a 510 chain. I think half links are getting close to
Defunct.
well, they get stretched out. So these are just kind of things where I'm off the topic, but I can't tell you the reason why I know that.
Yeah.
And the reason I know that, it would be like I guess I'll say this now. There's a lot of things when you watch this, you can see my eyes moving and doing something. It's because I have to tell myself, hey, Ricky, are you allowed to say that public or you're not? It's not like it's bad or something, but it's more of like that's for us to know business-wise than for you guys to know. And I feel like people don't ever express that or talk it. So if you're watching this and you see the way my eyes or my face is moving, it's because, like, is it necessary for me to tell you, okay, well, tariffs came into this and it's going to cost us from the port to do this. This is how much it's going to cost. That's unnecessary for me to say that to you.
That is another topic I'd like to know about, though. But
more smooth, right?
Yeah.
So with keeping it smooth, with the new stuff coming in, is back ends are going to get longer. Kids are tired of... You can't, there's no stability. When I was growing up, it was a 15-inch back end. Grow the fuck up, kids.
Yeah.
21 and a half top tube with a 15 in the back, baby, and I could 720 it like nothing.
Yeah. Like nothing, he says.
Like
I don't know
nothing.
about that.
Like nothing when I
think
was
you
like
had to try.
21, 22.
I think you had to try in order to 7. I think no matter what, you got to try to 720, bro.
I was over rotating 360s when I was like 11, 12. I learned 540s on a vert ramp when I was 12.
Sick.
So spinning was natural.
Yeah.
Backflip, no. So with me and you starting a shop, $35,000 after we both pay 2 years rent up, and we commit both to that. $35,000 would be more than enough for us to invest. And the way that we would invest is I would only want to invest in companies that are rider owned. And when I mean rider owned, I mean no backer.
Yeah.
So I would do our homework, and I already know who I'm going to invest in. And I would be like, I want to do Robbie Morales. I want to do Fiend. I want to do Deco. I want to do Daily Grind. I want to do...
So,
okay, so we have those shops.
We got the rider owned shops.
Yes,
Yep.
so we're in that shop. When we buy, what we're going to do is we're going to buy twosies. We're going to have one for display, one in the back. Once it sells, we replenish when we're down to one, and then we figure out a report and figure out how much we're actually selling. I don't want to overbuy because if you have too much and it sits on the shelf, it's a waste of money.
Yeah.
And companies will drop ship for us. Drop ship is the best thing ever. So kids, when you're going to go buy bike stuff, I would suggest go to your local bike shop first, and if they don't want to support BMX, look for Champion BMX, Unity, Pusher, Stacked BMX. Stacked is amazing because Larry, fucking Larry was a
He was a god.
dude. The stuff Larry did on rails, Gap second stage over Feeble on round rails.
Yeah,
But Larry does really good, man. Pusher does good, Vic does good, Eric Cycles does good, Shore Cycles does good. There's just so many ones. Rise and Grind is a new one. They got an indoor skate park, but look for guys that are more that way before you go to Dance Comp. Now, you're going to say to me, oh, Ricky, you're mentioning Dance Comp. Yeah, I'm going to mention Dance Comp. Dance Comp played a big staple in BMX. They helped out a lot of brands. Brands wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Dan Duckworth and those guys. And Frank is a fucking god that works there.
He's the buyer for Dan's, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
and the way that they do buying and stuff nowadays, after having their slip up in that, they buy the right way to buy. They buy onesies, twosies. When you work with a company like myself and Colt and any brand that I'm part of, we don't allow big brands like that to dictate or take advantage of us because we care about the local small shop. So they buy last. They don't get everything that they want, and we don't allow them to buy out. And with that strategy, it works good because Dan's is always going to buy a good enough amount that'll keep you alive,
Yeah.
but they won't control your brand, and that's what we don't want.
Yeah.
So I support Dan's. I like what they do. I believe in Frank. And there's a new computer system that's been around a little bit that people don't talk about, and it's a B2B system.
Which means business to business.
Yeah, and it's changed the way that sales reps do their job, and I believe this is a topic that's never been brought up. I'm now considered an old sales rep. I used to be the young guy. These new kids, when they come in now, with the way technology is it's almost easier since somebody's already built a model. They just say, hey, go to our B2B and order whenever you want. And then if that person didn't take the order and a B2B system came in, do you think that person should get paid?
Right.
No, they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So it's like that thing has taken over. It's a convenience for the bike shop. They need that because when they're busy, they don't want to talk or they don't want to do anything. I just think that little tiny piece is pretty disruptive and it hurts for BMX.
Yeah.
And so guys like myself and John Warren and Chris Riesenberger and Doug over at S&M and Bo over at Animal, like it's harder for us because if you get a new kid to come in and they're just brand new, they're just going to attack that B2B system. And we're the ones that had to make all the cold calls to set up that system.
Yeah.
And so for me, I just don't believe in it. I'm like, you know what? If you make an order on the B2B and I have nothing to do with it, even if it is me doing it, I just don't take the sale. It's a disruptor because we need more of this face to face. You see when I come in there and how it is with Randy, how good he feels because it's a relationship. I can shake a hand.
Yeah.
We can, he can see my eyes. I'm the first sales rep to do FaceTime. So I FaceTime all the sales reps. I mean, all the shop owners.
Nice.
Because I want to fucking look them in the face. I want them to know that I'm not lying to them. BMX is one thing business-wise. My motto is transparency. So working with Fiend, Daily Grind, Deco, 80s, and then now Colt, I feel like I'm the face of the BMX, those brands. And I'm the ones that are talking to the bike shops and making those sales. So I want those people to be able to see my face, and I want them to know when they're talking to me. I'm not bullshitting you. I'm not trying to just make a sale.
Yeah.
I'm trying to build a relationship. I want 10 years. I don't want 1 year. I don't want you to make $80 order and then never talk to me again.
It's wise.
So I'm all about building relationships, and
I wonder about in those two merging. I think that you're going to have to get over the fact that AI and software is going to just disrupt the fuck out of everything. Like I saw it in the wholesale world, like real estate. Like
Yeah.
got to the point where like you program a little chat GPT into go high level. Next thing you know, it's doing all the outreach that you could ever possibly do and follow up and like sounding like you over text messages. And then you pick it up once there's like a little bit of interest. And I'm like, that's fucking crazy, you know? Like
Correct. And that would be with cold calling. That could help and stuff like that. But this one, I'm talking more about the human-to-human interaction.
Yeah, that'll never get old.
Where you build the relationship. I need the B2B and I accept it. And drop shipping, where the customer just can't it's not that he can't afford it. It just doesn't make sense for him to carry one item that he has to ship because he did it offline. Yeah. I'm all about that. I support drop shipping and I support B2Bs. I just don't support if you're going to have a sales rep, the sales rep needs to take the initiative to do it the old school way.
100%, yeah.
And I'm just more of a hands-on. And whoever my competitor is, I don't give a fuck who it is. I will work harder than you. I will work longer than you. I will call more than you.
Yeah.
I will talk more than you. And the one thing that I will do is I will hang up on the customer and forget to make the order. And most of them have to call me back and say, hey, I was going to buy something.
It was nice to catch up with you, but
yeah. And
I need to buy stuff.
Yeah, and that's the thing.
Hand me the laptop.
Yeah, put it in.
Plug in.
Yeah. I think... I know I'm not going to get rich. So who gives a shit?
What does a day in the life look like for you as a so your job right now? Let's go back to that. Your job is with Fiend and After Hours.
It's After Hours.
After Hours,
we carry
which is Fiend,
Deco, Daily Grind, 80s, and then we just got Colt. And then the relationship with Colt is a lot different because I don't like the old strategy. I think the old strategy of doing distros is a person comes in, they invest a few $1,000s, and then the company sells that to them, and then the company's just left high and dry being like, when are you going to make your next investment?
Yeah.
And then the person that invested all that money is like, where are you going to help me? I'm tired of that. So I'm more hands-on, where I'm like, hey, look, I'm going to buy X amount. Let's figure out how to do this. Let me help you order this. Robbie, this is selling so good. Let's do this. Let's move that. And the relationship that we've created between me and Robbie has been really good because, you know, he'll get off of work and he'll just tell me how excited he is about sales and how things are going and how proud he is of his workers. Javier and... Javi, I can't say it. Javi and Joe...
Jovi, Javi and Jovi, the boys.
And just talking about how great they are and stuff. And those guys don't get enough shout outs for how much work they do. And Bob is the one packing all the orders over there.
Huh.
You know, and so BMX is really small, man. Like,
yeah.
It's great, the relationship that I've created with this 2PL that we've done instead of this, which is a logistics. You looked it up.
Yeah.
A 2-party logistics instead of a 3-party. The 3-party is basically you rent out a space and then you pay those people to rent it out and then they have their own separate sales place. But those sales reps don't care about your product. They're just using you. Where when I work with you, we'll work on deals to make our brands together.
Yeah.
I want to use you to use me. That's
Yeah.
my motto. Let me take advantage of you.
Mutually beneficial type shit.
Yeah, of
Which
course.
is cool.
Without using that word, let's just get right down to the dirt.
Yeah.
I want to take advantage of you, you take advantage of me. And it's created a relationship that's really good. And a lot's changed over at Colt. A lot's changed over at Fiend. These guys allow me to say and do things that I want to do. Big props to Garrett and Bob for allowing me to do a podcast again, because most people are like, don't fucking do one. You're going to do something stupid.
Yeah.
I've learned my lesson. I do say things. There's going to be a lot of things that I probably say on here where people will disagree or not like, or someone's going to call me. But at the end of the day, I'm saying how I feel and how things are, and I'm a complete different person because I'm not angry at BMX.
For sure, yeah. So let's summarize, because you said a couple of things that probably go over people's heads, because it went over mine when you brought it up at the shop. You were like talking 3PL and 2PL. I was like, what the fuck are these acronyms? I mean, 3PL just stands for third-party logistics. So if I'm a bike company, I'm tired of fulfilling all the orders. I'm going to partner with a separate company that's really good at fulfillment and logistics, and they'll take a cut or whatever and ship out my shit, but they don't have a vested interest. So what you're talking about is 2PL, second party logistics, which is much more intimate and like it's not like a big separate company. It's like your 2PL in your definition would be like, how would you define it? It's less than third party, but it's just closer and more tied in with the BMX community. Like it's another bike company.
We're not forcing them to have to pay rent.
Okay.
So there's not an extra piece that I'm taking from them.
Got it.
So it's like
if I'm using a third party logistics company, I have to buy that shelf space at the
Yes.
warehouse. Yeah. And so what you're
With
saying
us,
is
there's
not
no
that.
buying. So
Nice.
if Robbie wants to carry our stuff, he wouldn't buy it. He wouldn't buy. We wouldn't have to pay rent there. He doesn't have to pay rent from us. We buy some stuff from him. He drop ships. We just have deals that work for one another. We're all about making money. If I make a sale and Robbie is in a predicament where that sale doesn't work out for him, I just won't take a commission.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. I want Garrett, Bob, Robbie, Chad DeGroot, John over at Daily Grind, and Pablo over at 80s. I want those guys to be like, all right, dude, this guy's just as invested, but more, because I only get paid by commission. I have no salary.
Nice. Yeah.
And so my day consists of sitting on a fucking phone and calling people and talking to them and going on Instagram and commenting. And people are like, man, you do so much. You're annoying as fuck. Yeah, dude. Did you know that if a person says the word shit all fucking day long and people just hear him say shit, they're eventually going to say shit along with him? So if you do something long enough and you say it, like if you follow me on my Instagram, I was like, hey, good morning, you motherfuckers. This is Montana. Give me a call. I'm ready here, right? I've just always done that. Like I've always just had little slogans or whatever not. And to the people that understand what I'm doing will follow me. And to the new people that come along to like something I liked, they'll come and go.
Yeah.
And I'm always just going to be myself. And at the end of the day, am I getting the short end of the stick? Yeah, I am, because I know what sacrifice it takes. These guys are opening their wallets and spending
Yeah. It's about
amounts
risk,
of money.
You know. Yeah.
So I'm risking it by taking time out of my
yeah.
life to help build their brand. And that's where I hope if a rider watches this, they can realize, like, look, dude, I have to make the company owner money to make you money. All you got to do is a fucking Smith grind.
Yeah.
Like, what you're doing is what you love, and you made it to this part that you're pro. So, like, at the end of the day, once you're paid and you have that name pro to you, you need to find something more than just pro. You're already pro. You made it.
Yep.
So I need you to figure out, like, what is your shtick? What is your thing? What are you going to do to help me?
Yeah.
How, like, the other thing is...
What
is
events are you throwing? Shit like
yeah,
that.
what other events you're doing? Or post every single day in your stories, hey, the new Fiend frame came in. Hey, the new Fiend shirts came in. Hey, the new Daily Grind pegs are in. Hey, Colt's new tires are in. Colt just got a restock.
Yeah.
Hey, what can you do for the owner? Not what can I get from the owner. That's the thing. In this life, what can you do for somebody else will get you 10 times the amount of what you
100%.
get.
Yeah, you get what you give.
And I go back to this, and I just want it being said. Without the owners, we have no bike company.
Yeah.
Without the bike shops, there's no bike company. And if you took away, this is where I just say, okay, well, if we're going to have an argument, you say, this person, so we need this person. Okay, well, then get rid of the sales rep. Can that rider make up for that sales rep? No, it just can't. But together we can. It's not saying that, like, hey, no riders doing that. Yes, we need riders. I want riders. We have to have riders.
Yeah.
But the rider has to understand, hey, the gift that you've been given from the owners by the sacrifice that they put on, not just the sacrifice from the money and stuff, but the sacrifice they had as pro riders before you and what they did, they changed the model. The model was completely fucking different when they were in to what you get, bro. What you guys get with getting these commissions and these Instagram things and all of this extra shit, these guys get a lot of extra stuff without realizing, and the prices are higher.
Yeah.
So I just want riders to know I'm not against you. I'm just letting you know the information that you don't understand. And you can take a rider that's been sponsored by somebody for 25 years he's still not in the know of what happens
Right.
and what's going on.
Who are a couple? Give me some names of dudes that you think are doing it properly. Like who's a real pro that took it upon themselves to keep being.
Billy Perry.
Yeah.
Billy Perry.
And what is Billy doing that other people aren't?
Billy Perry advertises himself, puts himself out there, makes videos. He opened his own bike shop. He bought the product. It wasn't fronted. He paid for it 100%. He's the one that started YouTube vlogging, or not vlogging, but the YouTube BMX thing.
World, yeah.
I think Dan Crook has always been right there, but now he's getting the opportunities and chance. I think Dan Crook is a pro's pro. Now, I don't mean by riding. Your riding is irrelevant once you're a pro to me.
Yeah.
It's what are you doing extra. I think Dan Crook's doing really well. This is so funny. I'm all on Rickson and fucking Merritt right now. But Dakota Roche. Dakota Roche is obviously coming off of an injury. It's going to be really tough for him, his age and stuff like that. But Dakota Roche is a pro's pro. One of the biggest pros that having a boss and then being at the top of the game and better than everybody is Garrett Reynolds. My biggest pet peeve with riders is riders don't wear BMX clothing. Like, stop wearing non-BMX clothing. Wear something BMX. It has to be. You know what I mean? Like, I always try to have something BMX. I got the Unity ride chain on.
Yeah.
Right? No self-promotion, so I didn't show my hat. But Garrett Reynolds, I was like, hey, dude, can you just wear the shirts? And he's like, I just asked once, dude. Every single time he's riding or he's out, Matt Clausen, Johnny Rakes, all of those guys, and Hobie Doan, they're all wearing the shirts everywhere I go. Like, Garrett will be in the background in X Games, and it's not even his event, and he has a perfect view of the Fiend logo because he's wearing it and doing that. The shirt is the most important. Look at you.
Yeah.
You're repping what reps you. And so these kids need to understand that, once again, you're riding. If you've made it to pro, you've already proven that you're a rider. It's not the riding. There's more to it. So I like that Tom Russell kid. I think that new Tom Russell kid from the UK or whatever, he's a pretty good representation of BMX, and that's overseas.
He's fucking awesome. He's so fun to watch, dude.
Max Fu is a pro's pro. Once, I don't know if he's pro yet or whatever not, but Max deserves it. REA, because REA's got good teachers and stuff like that.
Yep.
He's going there.
It's funny, we're living that generation where REA and Max are going to become the guys if they're not already. It's so apparent because you saw it with Common Crew. Like, oh, those kids are going to become the guys, and it's like Max and REA are just right there. It's just like maybe
I remember
one or two
when
more years.
everyone was dividing up the Common Crew.
Yeah.
I remember when all the team owners and stuff were talking about, I get him.
Yeah.
And I remember one of them like sitting at a place we were at, and then I was like, yo, do we pick him up? And like talking to people and stuff, and they're like, well, you know, the way owners are, like, okay, well, what do you think, like, how do you think his personality is? Look at like you're being judged by everything that you're doing, right? And so, like, I just remember this. I don't want to say the writer's name because
I'll take a
not
guess.
appropriate, but I want to give you the context of the conversation. I was like, you know, they're like, well, what do you think? I was like, well, he's very introverted, so I don't know how it's going to come along. Like, is his story going to, when he gets on a microphone or if he talks to people or if he interacts with kids, are the people going to perceive him the way we see him ride? Like, a person's riding is completely different than the person.
Yeah.
And if you're really good on a bike and you're loud, but you're not loud when you're talking and stuff, it's a total turnoff for some people.
Yeah, I can see that.
So, like, I just remember one of the kids sitting there, and then a few of the owners like, nah, I can't take him. No, I won't take him. And I'm just like, fuck. And I was like, I want him, but I also see what you guys are saying.
Yeah.
Right? And I think that's the beauty about being the guy in the back, where you get to be, like, my voice doesn't get to say it all and everything, but it gets to...
This is Julian.
It gets to do things and stuff like that. And it's funny how that goes.
It is.
Yeah.
It's interesting. And it's I think it's a very good point, and it's come up before on here where it's just like it is way more than writing, and you are a billboard, and then like the louder your personality is, or you're hosting stuff, like it's just eyeballs, and it's those kids that aren't quite in it yet that are going to spend the money on a new bike that see you repping the Kink shirt. You know, Zach Beerley, for example, here is like I think doing a good job of becoming that guy, and it's cool to hear it from you from the inside. I
Right.
want to know, how did you start getting involved in it? What was your first taste of the industry of BMX, and how did you get your first sales job within this?
My taste for the first thing, Interbike. But I've always interjected myself in every single thing, so it would go way back in the late 90s to early 2000s. But I got my chance. I'm late to the game for working for a bike company, so I didn't get my chance until 2013. I went to Interbike, and it was during the S&M Rail Jam thing. Like Mike Brennan was there, and Mike was playing on a mountain bike, and I was like, "Yo, do a bunny hop tail whip frame stand." And my buddy Scotty HD just invited me and talked to him, and I went up to that. We didn't do booths at that time because Interbike was starting to get too expensive. So we started, Merit was the first people to do suites where everyone would come to their big ass thing. And I just remember the come up and everyone being there. But anyway, I walked in, and my loud, boisterous ass, I'm like yelling around, telling everyone to suck my dick like I always do. And some customers came in, and I just grabbed them. I was like, "Hey, how's it going today, guys?" They're like, "Oh, nothing much." I'm like, "What are you guys interested in?" And we went over to a table, and I just started selling them stuff and not even knowing what it was. But just because they were already hooking me up a couple months before that was my birthday, they gave me some pegs and stuff like that. And I left Interbike. I also was an owner of a bike shop during this time. That's why I was at Interbike. And they gave me a call, and they're like, "Hey, are you interested in moving to Jersey? We'll pay for you to go there, and we'll figure out where you live, and then we'll just start this."
That's
And
huge.
yeah, and Sean Kern and Mike gave me my chance. And, I get a lot of people that say, "Are you mad at Merit, or do you hate Merit?" I tell them no. I said, I think that's the number one thing that's fucking stupid, where you get a kid or a person that's sponsored or hooked up by something, and they get all these glorious things. Dude, I'm nobody without Merit and Mike and Sean Kern. Without those guys, I wouldn't be where I am. This is because of them. I hate that it was a stepping stone. I'd love to still be there. But I just don't like it when a kid gets a signature frame and then he's off the team and then he's like, "Fuck that. Let me call the next company. I want something for free."
Yeah.
It's like, dude, just ride that. Take pride in that, man. It's so awesome.
Yeah.
Merit made me handlebars. I had a signature handlebar called the Montana bar. I had 10 colors. 10.
That's an awful lot of colors.
10 colors.
So
It was
colorful.
a Bike Life bar, right? Fucking amazing seller. It's still selling. They obviously can't keep the name Montana on there, but they could have. I wouldn't have cared.
Yeah.
But it's just they changed the name and stuff like that. I still have the bars. I still have it on the bikes. I don't, like, for me, don't do that. Like, I just, it's bothersome for me. I'm very proud that I got that job from them.
What was it like at the beginning? Like, what's a commission like? I mean, how good of a living are you making the first year? And what was it like learning the ropes of, like, the job is just straight up phone
Merit paid
calls?
higher than anyone.
That's awesome.
So what they offered me was very generous for a first person.
Yeah.
More than minimum wage, way more than minimum wage. Where I live, could you live on it? No, it's New York, New Jersey. But they gave me a small percentage of the sales, but they gave me salary. Most people only make
Either commission or
commission.
salary.
Nobody
plus a
does
tiny
commission
bit,
and
yeah.
salary, and Merit was the first one. Like Merit, Mike Brennan was a sales rep, so Mike Brennan knew exactly what it was like.
Nice.
So Mike was very generous, and so was Sean. The hardest part for that was, like, we only had like 8 or 9 parts. So it's like I came in, I had all these ideas, I did the talking, and I became a face of a company. Because when you think of Merit, what did you think of?
Yeah, you're in there.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
it. You know, most people are just like, "Oh, Ricky." Just
Yeah.
think of Ricky. Your fucking ass is everywhere, right?
Yep.
And my job interview was this: "Hey, look, we're looking for a sales rep. We want a sober, clean,
Yeah.
functional sales rep,
Yeah,
but
that's
we
real.
want a Sean McKinney."
Yeah.
Because Sean McKinney was a party animal.
Yeah.
So they're like, we want the sober McKinney. They're like,
Nice.
you're allowed to say anything and do anything you want.
Be
and
loud.
Then obviously, 10 years later, I took it to the max.
Yeah.
I was an habitual line stepper.
Yeah.
But it was good. And I'm so happy that I did that. And then when I got fired, I got offers. It's funny. You would think I would get fired and no one would want me. A lot of people wanted me. Like, I could have went a lot of places. I could have owned a bike company. I've been offered like 5 bike companies, which is fucking weird.
That's a trip.
Yeah. Not pay anything, just own the company and run it. Been offered to be partners with people. Like, I've been offered a lot, and I guess it's through my ingenious act stupid, which approach kind of works.
The Columbo, the old Columbo. That's
Yeah.
an old TV show. The guy acts stupid.
I feel like I want them hyped. I want when you talk to me, I make you feel so fucking good. That's the way it should be.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day, I need you. And like your energy, some people just don't have the energy, and I have so much to give. Fuck it. I'll just give you all my energy, you know? It's very funny that I was given this opportunity and chance to be what I am. And now I look at it and I have a lot of bitterness still, but I think it's bitter because I'm trying to take something that the formula's been 30 years, and I'm like, fuck that, trash it.
Yeah,
let's go new school, right?
You have to.
And I'm young. Even though I'm 42, I'm young. So, like, all the owners, this is the thing kids don't understand. All the owners are 52, 53, 55, 54. The oldest one is 58. I just
Which is
asked
not
the
that
older
old,
one,
you know, yeah.
in 10 years, what are you going to do? He's like, retire. I said, okay, then what are we going to do to change your company? So, like, when I come in, I think riders have a hard time with me because they're like, oh, well, Ricky's going to come in here. He just wants to be a rider. Yeah, I want to be a pro, but I can never be you guys. So I'm going to make a position that gives me the same things you have, and I get to live the same life you get to live, but I have to work.
Yeah.
And I've always done that, where I'm like, okay, I get to reap the benefit. I'm going to get a frame out of this. I'm going to get my own product. I'm going to be able to travel with you guys. I'm going to be able to ride, but I can't call myself the bike rider. I'm just a sales rep. But I figured out a thing. That's why I tell all these kids, dude, like, you want to make it in BMX, go to a bike shop, meet the owner or the sales reps. Then they'll introduce you. You get free bike parts out of it. It's a great deal. That's, you know, the strategy.
You can take from that really good advice of, like, it's about people and just the way that you got that job, just showing up, being involved, and, like, not being afraid to have your voice heard. Like, you're in the suite calling everybody to suck your dick or whatever you're saying, and then you sell shit. Yeah,
Even chicks.
Suck my dick, motherfuckers.
Some chick made hold on, just over here. I want to do something because it's corny. But this new shop that I had, I was talking for a second. She goes, "Wait, I fucking know you.
You're the one
that
that told me to say.
motherfucker, dude."
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I think to make yourself remember, like, for people to remember you.
Yeah.
I am always trying to leave a lasting impression. So,
and the best way to do that is to make them feel good about themselves. Because they don't remember what you say; they remember how they felt about what you said. You know.
When's the first time you met me?
I don't remember.
You don't remember?
I don't.
I remember the second time we met.
When was it?
Over at Tyler's. He had that fucking Colt team, and everybody came over, and Stranger.
Tyler Coleman at Serenity.
Yeah, and Serenity had a little jam thing in you.
Yeah, I remember vaguely that.
Vaguely that, yes.
Yeah. So the problem with me is I just can't. I did too many drugs and too much drinking and too many concussions that my memory is just very bad. But you do kind of remember the feeling, you know, like that sticks with you way harder.
I mean, that's probably why, like, because I'm more talkative and more there.
Yeah.
So, like, when I DM'd you and you had a few things talking about industry things, and I wrote you a long page, and you're like, "Well, then fuck you, come on here," the way you said.
Yeah.
I was like, "Fuck, this guy doesn't understand what I'm trying to like." Like, sometimes I don't know a topic I'm going to talk about or anything until somebody brings it up.
Yeah.
So, like, if I watch a podcast and I hear it, I'm like, "No, you're fucking wrong."
Yeah.
Right? And that's how this is going to be.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, every owner is going to watch this because it's like, "Oh, it's Ricky on here. What bullshit is he
Hi, guys.
saying?" Like, "Hey, what's going on, guys?"
Sorry
I'll be
for
selling for you on
platforming this
Monday.
guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're going to do that. Like, is this going to get tons of views? No, it's not. I'm not that type of person that just brings those people there. Did I have that moment? Yeah, I did. that podcast, everyone wants it turned back on, but I'm not going to do it because
What was it called? You were starting a podcast of your own?
me and
Dustin.
yeah.
Yeah.
It was called
Rodeo Podcast. Rodeo Peanut Pod. Rodeo Peanuts and Pod.
No, it was a play on words because I knew as soon as I did it, I was going to get in trouble. It was called
Flying Close to the Sun.
fuck was it called? It was a play on words where I knew that like if I get in trouble, they're going to be like, "Why would you name it that?" And then I knew.
That's fun.
I made a meme. I can't even find it. But my whole idea when I had the podcast was like, I don't want a normal podcast. Like my second episode is done. It's 3 hours long. I would be even more canceled because I broke down the paycheck
Nice.
of a rider.
That's cool.
No, it's not cool.
It's
'Cause
not
I took
cool
a-
to
I
the
took
to
a-
the people.
I took a class board, like a chalkboard.
Yeah.
And I just wrote down things. And I was like, all right, well, this is how much a rider makes. And the whole point of the whole thing, what I wanted to do was to give the idea of like, okay, they make this much, but realistically, what are they doing to make this and how can we make more money?
Yeah. How can you
But
provide more value as a sponsored rider? Yeah?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And then for the second episode, because everyone wanted the second episode, one of my ideas was I was going to be like, good morning, you motherfuckers. How's everyone going? And it was going to be us because we had a studio, a professional studio for the second one already. And we were going to be inside there. And then we were going to be like, all right, well, for the second episode, we're going to talk about this. And then I was going to talk about fishing for 2 hours. I was going to call up Casey Badger. I was going to call up Tyler Cole, all these people that fished and just talk about fishing.
I like
and then
it.
I'd be like at the end, yeah, and that's second episode. And then just drop the mic because everyone just thought I was going to come back and rebuttal all the things that happened to me
Yeah.
and be
It's
angry.
like, now I feel like talking about fishing.
Yeah, and I just
now,
want
yeah.
to do that. And then everyone would turn it on, fast forward it, waiting to get to some juice.
Yeah.
And there'd be no fucking
juice.
juice.
Yeah.
And it'd just be like the Andy Kaufman,
Yep.
where he's like, oh, static? No one's going to get the joke, but I get it. Right? And that would have been the joke I wanted to do. And I think in BMX, we've lost the class clown kind of thing. We've lost the Gons and the Matt Beringers, and now we got Lou Bickle is gone, and Magoo,
Punk rock misfit.
and Luscious Lee. We've lost these guys that were class clowns, that were goofballs, that rode bikes, but they were known more for their antics,
Yeah.
that were just fucking stupid and played jokes and pranksters.
Yeah.
And we've gotten so fucking serious and so woke that it's taken to the point where everyone just takes everything like, well, if I don't like you, you instantly fuck you.
Yeah.
And it's like, we can't live that way because we've never grown. So, like, I've always been against the grain. Like, if you follow me on Instagram, it's always fuck plastic pegs. I sell plastic pegs,
But fuck them.
but fuck them.
Yeah.
It's cheating. If
It
I
is.
can't hear it, my best thing I ever heard, or the best thing, I'm always like, if your grind sounds like a queef, then you're not really grinding.
They do sound like a queef.
Right. And I said
bro.
it's cheating, And then everybody that gets mad at me, yeah, but there's so many things. I was like, yeah, but look at all the dudes at the beginning. They didn't plastic it up. Man up. Right. And a free coaster, cheating.
Yep.
I 100%. And Bruce, I always laugh at Bruce. I'm like, dude, that shit's cheating. You guys could land 90 and still come out of it. I'm just, if I can't hear your bike, you're not right. You're scootering.
That just reminds me of Simone. I think he's 4 pegs fucking cassette. That's fucking pure. And there's something about the sounds, bro. Like, I completely agree. Like, metal pegs, a pole jam is just, it does sound like a queef.
It does sound.
It does not sound good.
No, it doesn't sound good at all. But also, if I don't hear like a cassette,
Yeah.
but this is all my opinion and how I feel. And,
Yeah.
and in BMX, when a person has passion and then has an opinion, that's a no-no because people don't know how to take that. And
Yeah.
I've always been super
Like,
passionate.
you're not allowed to think thoughts, dude.
No, you're not allowed to fucking hate
doing?
what I
Yeah.
like. No, I'm against it. Like,
Yeah.
I don't expect you to be like, oh, Ricky, you're obsessed with Rat Boy. Like, he just done all those rocket things. Yeah,
Oh, you should see my banger in mediocre too, dude. Those
rocket. Like, what Rat Boy has done hasn't been done. Kevin Porter's done a lot of those things. Mike Ackerbach has done a lot of things that haven't been done. Perry Merver, The Peg of Doom. No one's fucking doing that. There's just so many
What's
riders.
this Perry Merver thing? What's the peg of doom?
Peg of Doom
Yeah.
is when you stand on the back peg and jump from the back peg and do a handlebar stand.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think maybe 2-3 people have
Peg of
done
doom.
it. Peg
dude.
of Doom,
That's
baby.
cool. I like that.
Flatland. But, you know, I like to pay dues for a lot of people that people forget about. I don't want people to forget about them. That's why I run other Instagram pages.
Yeah. Which is cool. Which ones will you share with how involved you are?
I'll share one. I don't want to be the face of it.
Yeah.
Because my whole point of having this page, I do Y2k BMX. I've never showed my face or talk about it, just people that know it.
Yeah.
And the reason is it's not about me.
Yeah, it's about
So any page that you
history.
have that's dedicated to something, you should not show your face or do anything, because I feel like you're only getting that clout because of the people that created that.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want people to not forget it. So I do have some opinions in there that are very like fucking mid school.
Yeah.
Which are very core.
Yeah.
But I also try to bring that to my page, my Instagram. My Instagram now is obviously, after having this back surgery, it's about being sad and lonely and missing your fucking bike.
Yeah.
You know, because I'm in a new chapter of my life. Retirement is scary. Like, I'm so afraid that if I can't bunny hop ever again, I don't know what I'm going to be able to do. Like, I could see quitting jerking off, but I can't see quitting riding a bike.
Right. It's
And-
heavy. I saw your scars. What is the back surgery?
Oh, you boys want to see the scar? So, I have a rare condition called Bertolli syndrome. That's when your S1 and L5 is fused to your pelvis. So if you look on my Instagram, it's pinned in there. It's a picture. It'll show you your guys' vertebrae like goes out straight like this. Mine hooks and then is connected to my pelvis, which traps my nerves
Fucking
inside there.
yikes, bro.
But I
yeah.
was born with it, so I
Damn.
didn't know any better. So around, my back has gone out a lot, but in 39, when I was 39, it went out really bad. And so I started going to doctors to get figured out. I went through 5 doctors before I found a doctor that would actually work on me, because no one's worked on this in school. And then when I finally found a doctor, I had to go through all this fucking hoopity la la with insurance to get MRI. And the doctor's like, well, we got another problem. And I'm like, what's the other problem? And he's like, well, you have Bertolli syndrome, but I can't do that because now you don't have a disc and you have 2 bones rubbing on bones, and I need to do a bone graft, and then we need to do a decompression. So what I have is, we did an A-lift, which what they did is they went, like my fucking belly can talk.
Yeah.
What they do is they take 2 doctors. One doctor comes in, cuts you open, and then you have 2 blood vessels on your spine. That guy has to hold it, while the other doctor goes in, cleans out the bone, does the bone graft, and then you get 3 screws. This is the way they do back surgery. Now, with mine, I had to get a decompression. What they do, I don't know if you can see it.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. They take a machine, and it's like a vise, and they stick it in there. They cut you open, and then they just basically lift you because you're compressed like this. So they have to open you up and then do that. So I went from being like this to this. So I basically got like 2 inches taller.
Huh.
And then
Did you notice that you got actually 2 inches taller?
I felt like I got like
Yeah.
2 inches. My doctor every
You're
time
like,
laughs.
"Whoa, it's high up
My
here."
girl went in there with me, and she started laughing because he's like, yeah, he's came here with a crimply old fucking man. I'm really sore. It's only been a month and something. Mentally, I'm fucked because I just miss my bike so much. But I knew I had to do this. I lost my insurance. As soon as I had this, insurance dropped.
Of course.
I had
yeah.
Native American insurance, and when I was trying to get it all fixed, like every single person's like, I've never even seen this before. How did you get this? And I'm like, I had to do a blood quantum, prove that I'm Native, and go through all this paperwork just to prove what I am, which, by the way, sucks because Native Americans are the only nationality that has to prove how much they are.
Yeah.
While everybody else is
Are
like,
you pure-blooded?
yeah, you know what I mean?
And
Like,
then
everybody
we'll
else
fund
is just
100% if you're pure-blooded, but if you're fucking mixed, bro, 50%, dog.
Well, that's, they have the 1-drop thing, but ours isn't part of the 1-drop. Ours is just more proving what you are to get what was yours. I don't know. Anyway, I'm not into that way. prideful people. We were never taught to be a squeaky wheel.
Well, let's linger on that for a second because you said it earlier, and I don't think we were recording. What is your bloodline?
I am an Assiniboine Chippewa Cree from Turtle Mountain Reservation.
Let's do that slower. What's the first one?
Assiniboine.
Assiniboine.
So think of Cinnabon.
Okay.
Assiniboine.
Boyne?
Boyne, yeah.
Okay.
Chippewa.
Chippewa, I've heard. And then Cree, Cree?
Yeah. From Turtle
Assiniboine.
Mountain Reservation. And then I was adopted. That's where the Lopez comes from. So we were... we basically came up here from Arizona. We were...
Here is Montana, right?
No. From Arizona. Our people... There was 10,000 of us, like back in the 1600s, and all they did was migrated, or what do you call the people that go from place to place? There's a word for it. Anyway,
What is the word? Hunter-gatherer?
no, it's not.
Rome?
There's another word for it. We're
Yeah. I think,
well, when
yeah.
you go back to look at this, if you have to edit it, just
Yeah.
remember to put it in what the word is. I
Yeah.
can't think of it, but we migrated. And we did a lot of trading. We made it up to Montana. We did a lot of trading with the French and
What kind of trading back then?
furs.
Yeah.
Furs. And they had diseases that we didn't have. So you get all these things where they purposely diseases. No, they didn't. They just had medicines and types of diseases that were different.
Yeah.
And we went from 10,000 strong down to 2,000.
Damn.
And in the world right now, in the United States, there's less than 5 million Native Americans. So when you talk about majorities and minorities and stuff like that, you know, there's like, I think it's like 300 or 180 something Caucasians, and then it's like Hispanics are 48 million, blacks are like 28 million, Asians are like 18 million, and then it's
Natives are 5.
under 5.
Yeah.
And then other, which is Pacific Islander, is 0.06.
Whoa.
So you look at majority and minority, and you start thinking about, like, you know, you got these other races that are way bigger than that. So for me, it's never been about like, oh, well, I'm Native or anything. I was actually very against Native because I grew up in Montana where it's only Native Americans and white people. So I thought I was Mexican. So I was like, oh, I'm Mexican, so I'm better than this. And I was like against it. And then the more I got to know about my people and the more I learned, like, it's a privilege and an honor.
Yeah,
and so
it's a
since
beautiful thing.
My skin is pale is because of us trading with the French and intermingling with them.
Yeah.
So my last name is Done.
Done.
Yeah. So
What does Done mean?
I don't know. I think it's a French fucking thing, to be
Yeah.
honest with you. Because there's Dubois, but
Yeah.
we call it Dubois.
Huh.
There's Garde Paix, or Garde P is what we call it, but it's Garde Paix. It's something in French. So we have like a lot of intermingling with that.
That's fucking interesting.
And that's where
dude.
my storytelling and all that, because we're linguistic, comes
Right.
from BMX. I
Yeah.
just treat it that way. And so I've always had a fond thing for natives. So like, I always found this funny, is like the two dudes that work in the industry that are white natives are Chris Moeller and me.
Chris Moller's native?
Chris Moeller's like, I think half native too.
No
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, he's part native.
That's
too.
pretty cool.
So it's kind of funny. Like,
Yeah.
I always, when I was on Merit, I was like, yo, we're just going to sponsor Native Americans.
Yeah,
So I
dude.
was just like, I'm picking every native I could. That was
I
like
love
my
it.
fucking thing. I couldn't
Yeah.
help it. But yeah, I'm very proud to be what I am. And
Should be.
It's funny how I come here and I see natives, and I'm like, they're riding bikes with Dimitri James and
Yeah.
stuff like that. So it's good. And your new video, I can't wait to see the whole thing. You said the link's going to be up?
Yeah, pretty soon. Either today or
Yeah,
Monday.
you can just push the link. And
I'll send you the link.
Yeah,
You know, yeah. Publish.
yeah.
Boop. Yeah, it was a treat getting to film with Dimitri because I've known him since you knew him, and I never really filmed him. He had a clip in the first Mediocre, and he's always just kind of been like one person away from me. And then I've been a fan, and I forget the catalyst, but I was just like, dude, you're fucking awesome. Let's do it. And then so he was like the special ingredient that put this video like over the top of just like, now it feels right, and it's
Oh,
so
he was
good.
ready to
Dude.
ride all the time?
Yeah, he's just about it. And it's like, as far as anybody actually like doing it, being a rider, going to look for spots and getting the homies together, like Dimitri is fucking ready. He's doing it, and it not for anything either. It's not like he's doing it for, like you said. I remember we were talking about money, and the initial thing, and then we just went on this whole podcast long tangent of just like you get to a point of where you're making money, and then that's the only I treated, because I did it. I treated getting sponsored as the finish line, and in hindsight, it's like dumbass. You know, it's barely the starting line. You know, and that learn your lesson that way. It's just like there is no magical pot of gold, and everything is just what you make it. And if you love this, then keep doing stuff. But yeah, shout out Dimitri, shout out the natives, Yazi. Yazi got a clip in there.
Well, that's the
very
thing
cool.
too, is when you make it in BMX, you can't forget who helped you there. And I've had so many dudes that have been part of my path that have put their hand out and helped me.
Yeah.
Like, and I never forget those fucking dudes. And that's the thing, is like, it's all stepping stones. And all of these kids that I've ever helped out, like, you know, like Jeff Westcott, when he sees me, he's like, yo, help me out. Like, what can I get, right? I don't take that offensive or anything like that, right? But also, like, if you ever make it, if a kid's out here and you ever make it and there's somebody that you know that's talking for you, don't ever have an interview and fucking skip them over. Don't ever do the, oh, well, I'm here now, and then all these people are around me. Those are the people that are around you because you made it at your success. What about the people that helped you get that success and form the success? Never forget that older rider that told you you fucking sucked, that motivated you, right? Like, I don't forget those fucking dudes. I don't forget my mortal enemy. There's this dude named Rob Crump.
My mortal enemy.
Rob Crump, and like we just never got along. He was so fucking good at riding, and he used to always be like, it was just like me and him were just against one another. And I remember telling Andrew Carpenter he sucked. And Andrew Carpenter was doing 540 bar spins over spines in 2001. I was like, dude, you fucking suck. I'm going to be better than you. And I met him in real life. I was like, I got humbled.
Yeah.
But like all the things that I've ever made, I've always just like, you know, Scotty HD and Mike Brennan and Sean and fucking Bob and Garrett. Those are towards the old ones. But Chad, Logan, Ben Smith, even you, Kurt. Kurt owns Champion BMX. Big shout out to him. But he was my first TM, and he just never fucking left my side. He's always been there for me. Anything that I've ever needed. You know what I mean? Chester Blacksmith, Adam Batten, Robbie Morales is a fucking huge one. He has never left my side. Ryan Shearer, I told you, I fucking screwed that thing up. But Ryan, thanks for the frame. And I fucked that deal up. You know what I mean? Lee Ramsdale's always been there. Ike, fucking Chris Risenberger. There's just so many people that have been in my life. My dad, for the opposite reason of being like the positive, like a fucking dickhead. But like, that's why I always tell kids, I'm like, your parents are your biggest motivator. They're either supporting you, but that unsupport is the best support.
Yeah.
Because what you're doing in riding BMX isn't bad. It's bad for your health. And what I mean by your health, mentally and physically. You need to just realize that find a job that suits you and then do BMX as a hobby. But that job that suits you, you need to let them know, hey, I'm going to break a bone at least once a year.
Yeah, for real.
Like I break 2 bones a year.
Yeah.
And my doctor, like, dude, I got healthy before I had my surgery. My doctor's like, yeah, just fucking go ride. I go ride. We're going filming. This is 5 weeks before my back surgery scheduled. First day filming, I'm like, yo, dude, all right. I want a photo and a video. And I was going to do rail hop to manual to 180 to half cab 50-50 back on the handrail to over, right? And I've already done 180 over the handrail to roll back to half cab 50, but I was like, oh, manual 180 would be dope. So I do the rail hop, and my back's fucked, so I don't have control. So I go to loop out, and when I go to loop out, I put my foot into the wall. I fell on my foot or my leg, and my leg goes,
Oh, no.
and I'm like, fuck. And the filmer's like, what was that? I was like, oh, I fucking snapped my leg. And they're like, what do you want to do? What do we do? I was like, just go get my car, and I just got to cry for 2 seconds. Let me yell, and then it'll be fine. And then we take me to the doctor, and the doctor's like, so what's wrong? I was like, I'm 100% sure I snapped my fibula, but let's not snap my tibia. I was like, it's my fibula. Just tell me it's a clean break. So we go into there. The lady takes me into the back. I come back, and she comes back at the X-ray. She goes, "Jesus Christ, you a doctor?" I go,
You
"No."
called
She
it,
goes,
dude.
"You called it perfect." I was like, "How long am I out?" And she goes, "Well, what do you mean?" I was like, "Well,
How long does
actually,
this
I had
take?"
back surgery in 5 weeks." She's like, "What are you doing riding?" I'm like, "I'm trying to get everything out."
Trying to get it
So when
clipped, dog.
when I go get back surgery, they're like, "Hey, we need you to walk around." I go to walk around, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, I forgot I have a broken, so my fucking fibs broke." And the doctor just started laughing. He goes, "I thought you were joking," because I had to get an epidural a couple days after that, just to see how the epidural would work. And I came in with like this weird cast. He goes, "You fucking moron." I was like, "I told you, I break a bone. Like BMXers should consider breaking a bone once a year. You should know you're gonna break one.
Yeah.
If you can mentally do that, breaking the bone is the easiest part." Like, you know,
God, dude, what a weird hobby we chose.
yeah. And people are such pussies when you go to PT.
Yeah.
Like I look at him and I go, "You're fucking crying over a sprained ankle, you fucking puss. I'll trade you any day."
The normies?
Yeah.
Yeah, the normies are funny with injuries.
Are you serious? You use that word too?
Yeah.
No fucking way. I thought you
Normies.
stole that from me.
No.
Dude, I call them all normies. And
Yeah.
the doctor gets mad at me. He's like, "Why are you picking on them?"
Yeah.
I said, "Because mentally, these guys are fucking pussies."
Yeah.
I was like, "Dude, I have a broken fibula. I just had back surgery, and this dude's over here crying about a fucking knee injury."
Yeah.
Whoop-de-fucking-do.
Yeah. I can't play
Man,
golf
the
as good. Rrr.
Dude, this dog is crazy.
He's the chill vibes. We were talking about sponsoring new people, and you were talking about like the cool. It's an interesting question. It's like who's a relatable rider that's not necessarily that good, but is very sponsorable right now. And I had a lot of fun trying to think of who it would be, and it's almost an insult. She's like, "Your riding's not that good," but let's see if we can come up with one or two. Like who should be sponsored next, in your opinion? Who's not sponsored that should be? You don't have to say it because you probably want to, sponsor
That I
them.
think who should be?
Yeah, who should be sponsored that's not right now? Dimitri James. He's already sponsored.
I think there's a rider that's overlooked, but not too many people know him. He rides for Eastern Bikes, and Animals helped him out for years. But Luke Pedals, Luke Pedalski,
Yeah.
is
Crazy whips.
exactly what anything that I want to get for sponsored, I'm always telling people, like, let's pick him up. I'm like, his attitude is fucking perfect. He works like 18-hour days. Dude is a fucking beast. Obviously, he's 31 or 30. He's older.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
I always watch a Luke clip when it
There's
comes up.
a kid from Montana. His name's Hunter Lemire, native. He is so fucking good, but he's in the wrong place. And I always tell him, I'm like, "Dude, move." Like, dude's doing like loops both ways. Like we have these full loop. Like Montana is untapped. You want to go and film a video, go to Montana. You will see rails that you've never seen in your life
Bro,
because it's all
fucking
mountains.
sick. Yeah.
So, this Hunter Lemire kid is, maybe it's because it's Montana. I'm being a little bit biased, but the kid is
How do you spell Lemaire?
Lamere.
That Montana kid.
Yeah,
Local Montana shredder.
right. But he's got his type of styling, and what he has is it's his own because he doesn't have anything around him.
Yeah.
So it's like untapped talent. It's like Dimitri James. Like I've always had Dimitri in there, and Brian Baker.
Yep.
There's just like 3 kids, but I can't say them because I'm already going to do something. So it's like I already
Yeah, I
am
figured,
ahead
yeah.
of that. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like,
Yep.
so I don't want to say something prematurely and then it doesn't happen and then I get their hopes up or something screws them over. I'm also going to mention somebody where people are going to think I'm crazy, but we were talking about who I think a pro is. Josh Irvine.
From Australia?
Fucking what he does, it makes me cry because Josh is misunderstood, but also he's really good at riding a bike. But what he does behind closed doors for the team, almost every pro that you know within the last 10 to 15 years, Josh Irvine has had a piece of that pie.
Huh.
Josh is the guy that talks, that does it, and Josh gets nothing from it. And then Josh always looks like the guy that everyone picks on. But except for if you've seen that fight, he knocked that fucking dude out with a headbutt, and it's the craziest thing ever. Look it up online. You have to. Literally told the guy to leave him alone, and he headbutts him, and it's the scariest thing. It looks like he killed him. But Josh Irvine is a pro's pro that I believe that it's never given the chance. He's sponsored by Vans in Australia, Skull Candy. Anything that I can do to help him, I will do, because he is exactly what I am. He's the goofball, the guy that talks. He just lives in Australia, so he doesn't get a chance.
Yeah.
But a lot of people are misunderstood about him, and a lot of people shit talk till they meet him in person, and then they shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
Because they'll beat the piss out of him. He's big like you, but you don't work out. So picture you, he's as big as you, but works out.
How dare you? I've been working out for 2 years.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
No, you haven't.
Yes, I have.
No, show me your six pack.
I ain't got no six pack.
I'm talking, this dude works out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But this dude is jacked. But
Yeah.
Josh Irvine, just any sponsorship or anything to give, I'll give that kid, because I know what he'll do for a company is unheard of.
Yeah, be loud.
He will sacrifice. This is the thing for me, is I don't give a fuck how good you are on a bike. It's what are you doing to bring the light to the company? And I think, yo, look at that dude. Where are we at in the safaris?
It's because my head's so big. It's like gravity.
Yeah. But Josh Irvine deserves a big, huge shout out.
Shout out Josh Irvine.
Yeah, dude. And just does a lot of things. And I guess, I always talk about things that are completely different or bring up topics that are different, because everybody has something different to talk about. I guess, you usually get the same story. How'd you start riding bikes?
Yeah.
What kind of bike did you ride? Nobody gives a fuck about that.
Yeah.
People want to hear dirt. People want to
Yeah.
hear some drama. People want to hear things. But also they want to hear things that are about BMX that they don't understand about BMX or they don't know about BMX.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're missing. And I think that's why the greatest person in the world, if you could ever get him on a podcast, which no
Chris
one will,
Riesenberger.
Huh?
Chris
yes,
Riesenberger?
I do think Chris Riesenberger would be there. He's going to be mad at me for bringing that up,
Yeah.
but Chris would be one of the greatest. And so would, who was the TM for Schwinn and S&M back in the day?
Oh, he worked at Sparky's. John Day. JPR? John Paul Rogers?
John Paul Rogers
Yeah.
is the reason everyone's a team manager.
Yeah.
Like everything, his formula still works. So
Yeah.
I think those two would be really great to get. No one's getting Jay Miron. No one's getting Dave
JPR I know, so maybe I'll ask
No
him.
one's getting
That'd be
Dave Frymuth. Nobody's getting fucking Dave Osato. Those are like the goats to go to.
Yeah. Speaking of goats, who's your Mount Rushmore? I think I have 9 minutes left on this. Left on the
Perfect.
tape.
That's it.
Yeah,
Didn't you see? Why don't you? Here's what you're gonna do. Didn't you see my Instagram post?
Didn't you see my Instagram? What did you say?
What do you think? What did I say? Watch this, kids. I'm gonna show you how this guy doesn't pay attention to me, but I always have him in my heart. Watch. I want you to watch this and then get a live reaction.
Who misses finger bikes? That one? Or are you talking
Get
about
off there.
a
Hold
story?
on. No, this is about you. You ready? Look, I already did you, and I've.
Top 5 BMXers ever, period. Six. You already answered this. Let's go. Joe Rich. So it's only 4. We're gonna start with Taj. Well, Bobby, thanks for asking. It's hilarious. This is an epic video, dog. Jay Miron. Huh. This list is unbeatable. What about Dave Mira and Matt Hoffman? And Garrett Reynolds?
Matt Hoffman on my list would be.
So let's hold on.
7, maybe.
Let's recap
Number
that.
6 would be Ruben.
Jay Miron, Dave Asado, Taj, and
Joe Rich.
Joe Rich.
And
Joe
then,
Rich was 5. So there's only 4 heads on Rushmore.
Yeah. I gotta go, but there's 5 heads because you guys went on Native American land and built something that's not yours. So I'm native, so I can make that fucking head anything I want.
yeah,
So
but
there
is
5 heads.
when you say that though? Is it a
Yes,
literal head somewhere?
It's on.
Is it on like a backside or something? Secret head, or is it just the essence of the fact that?
5 heads, if you think about
For
it,
real?
there's 4 for you white people and 1 guy that's going to be on there. But also, you guys built it on our grave. Like it's a spiritual place.
Oops.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's why when people ask me, they go, "There ain't fucking 5."
Yeah.
But yeah, I already wrote one for my goat, and I did it.
I love it. Yeah.
Bob, thanks for having me. And then Mike Escamilla called me and goes, "I'm the first person to do a backwards hand round." Like, technically, Ian Morris is, but yeah.
Amazing.
I gotta cut you short because
No, that's fine.
waiting here.
I asked you Rushmore. That's it. That's how we end it. Yeah.
BMXers, I love all you guys. To let you guys know this, Bob's got to edit a few things because I did say some dirty words, and those dirty words that I said is plastic pegs suck and free coasters are the worst. The best free coast rider in the world is Bruce Chrisman, second by Ian Schwartz, and then third is going to go to, you guys probably don't even know this name, and now I'm drawing a fucking, God damn it, I knew I was going to do this. Who is the partner for Standard Bikes? Who owns Standard? He used
Rick
to
Moliterno?
Yeah, with Rick Moliterno's partner. Fuck me. Anyway, he used to do toboggan bar spins. He'd do backwards. He'd do 180 to like nose pick, like backwards free coaster, nose pick onto a quarter, and then like do toboggan bar spin out.
Whoa.
And he was the part owner with Rick Moliterno. Anyway, that's my free coaster one.
That's pretty good. I love it.
Let's do a new thing. No one's ever done bump bikes, have they? Have they ever done touch hands?
Yeah, this is good.
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll do this with the rider when they get a clip.
Did they?
you know?
Did they ever jerk the mic off? Have you ever had that one?
That was fun.
Okay, my friends, thanks for listening. Next week, we got Brant Moore. And if I could ask you to do one thing, I'd just say go to shopmediocre.com or just go watch the video. Run them numbers up. I put everything into it, so I hope it's I hope I'm not pushing something that you won't enjoy. All right, that's all. Thanks, and shout out Ricky for coming to sit on this here couch and having a convo with me. Love you all.